Okay. All right. We're live. Let's go. Pals are back. Hope everyone had a great day today.
And we're COVID free.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. We are COVID free.
Tested. Results came back.
Negative.
It's a solid negative.
A little props. Oh, I'm calling Jamie, buddy. Yes. What's up, guys? Yeah, we did get a COVID test today and came back negative. We did it just to be, safe, take a precaution. And it kind of, our gracious guest today.
And we'll tell you about the guest, but first I'm Ricky.
Oh yeah, and I'm George.
Just in case for those new listeners. But yeah, we had our good friend and good pal James Blackburn. We go way back with him. I've known him for many years now. Great entrepreneur, has a background in law, moved into the nightlife and hospitality. If you don't know him personally, you've probably attended one of his events at SPD or Early Mercy or many of the other places he's worked at. He's recently transitioned into COVID testing, and the entrepreneur in him has decided that that's the best use of his time right now, and he's doing great things with that and helping get everybody tested to make sure that we're being safe and doing everything we can. So great conversation. We ended up chatting a little bit more about sports and overall chatting about a lot of things and having a good time. So Georgie, tell them who the sponsors are.
Our sponsors for this episode, first and foremost, the lovely, fantastic, amazing Saks Food Co. Are you hungry? You feeling like having a healthy dinner, a tasty snack? Check out Saks Food Co. They're located at 3161 Wharton Way in Mississauga or at saksfoodco.com. And Saks has a great selection of heat and eat items, chicken strips, chicken nuggets, and more, deli meats, frozen chicken breast, frozen pizzas, all at amazing prices, guys. Visit Saks today. Their new store, like I said, at 3161 Wharton Way in Mississauga. Fantastic location with a great selection. Check them out. I'd also like to give a shout out to Awe Contracts. That's AWE, Awe Contracts. They're an innovative new web hub designed to cater to small business and the self-employed, providing legal contract templates and contract kits, delivering the legal foundation needed without the cost-prohibitive legal fees that come with working with a lawyer. All contracts are all fully customizable and tailored to your specific needs. They were created with specific industry standards in mind and are drafted by a Canadian lawyer providing the protection you need. They're offered same day and color coded to make it easy for you to use. I will mention All Contracts is not a legal firm. It does not offer legal advice. And All Contracts has been gracious enough to offer the PALS listeners an exclusive discount code for the month. If you use PALS15, that's PALS 15 at checkout, you get 15% off your contract kit. So check out www.awecontracts.com. That's All Contracts. Lastly, and certainly not least, shout out to Cast.
Heck yeah.
Your pals are onto something here. We're about to shake up the social media landscape. Cast, for those who don't know, is our new social media platform that we created, currently in beta. And Cast is the objective assembly of public opinion. And what that means is we've created a platform where people can share their unique, objective, and honest opinion into any topic or debate of discussion. You don't have to worry about what people are going to think. You don't have to be worried about people seeing what your opinion is. You can be truly yourself and not be scared of being judged or the fear of backlash and reprisal. So that's a little bit gist of it. If you guys want to download the app today, DM us. We'll give you an access code. We'll send you the link. You can get on and start messing around with it. Very easy. We think it's a great app. Obviously, we're the ones that built it with our amazing team, but very easy to use. And get on it today and start creating your cast. www.createyourcast.com. And my pal Rick.
LFG.
Let's frickin' go.
Yeah, I remember that spot. That was a good one. We always had
Those
fun
were really
there.
good times then. Like FStop too, same family,
F-stop,
and there were some really good memories there.
When did FStop close down? 2017?
It's cold.
Yeah, that sounds right. I remember there was one night we were at early and it was FStop's last night and they're like, come, we're not going to close tonight. And so we went over at after 4 because early at a 4 a.m. and it was still going. And
I think I remember this because my ex worked there.
Yeah, go a little closer. Just stay where you're sitting.
Yeah.
Pull it closer to you. There you go.
Right, close.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
I'll get used to that.
Yeah, my ex worked at FStop, and I remember that she'd be like, "Yeah, we're serving till 5." I'm like, "How is it even possible?" She's
Right.
like, "We're not legally allowed to do it. We're just doing it."
But what are they going to do? Come and take your liquor license? Yeah.
We're gone.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
that's smart. Well, smart, like illegal, smart.
Yeah.
what
It's
is-
just
what's the
like
worst
you might
that
as
can
well.
happen?
Shut you down at night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they
Yeah,
probably
we'll do
had,
that
like,
on our last night, presumably.
Yeah. Well, what's happening now with Early?
We're signed now. So Early is, we always knew it was going to be a condo. But we kind of took from our knowledge about what's going on in the commercial real estate industry. We knew that beyond the 3-year guarantee we had, that it was going to go a decent amount longer. We would have been 5 this past November. We've been re-upped again till the end of 2021. And we expect even possibly another re-up after that. So we just kind of keep taking the incremental lease increases, and is what it is. Just, we've had an awesome run there, and we'll keep it going.
Couple good nights there.
Yeah.
In the patio.
It's a good spot.
A great, perfect location.
I remember you post up on that patio a few times.
A couple times.
Everybody likes that top perch, right? Looking down below.
A couple pops.
Was there a Grandin toy before?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty drastic overhaul that we did. I remember trying to visualize it and thinking, all right, I guess we can do this. And then when it was getting close to done, I was like, wow, I can't believe how much this place has changed.
Weren't you originally going to have a food truck serving food inside the venue?
Yeah.
So I can't remember if it was
there's
you or
one
Ken.
outside.
There's one outside on King
if there's
Street
one thing
there.
I learned over time about being in this business, and especially in a city like Toronto, and you could do this in other places, perhaps smaller places, but you kind of have to stick to one lane in Toronto because it's such a competitive food and beverage industry. So we had this idea, we're going to be what Early is on the weekends, and then we'll also be an after work drinks place, and we'll serve some food. But we open in November, and by the time the summer comes along, we've already got a clear definition to the minds of the public. And so we did that little food truck service jaunt for a little bit, but ultimately, we stuck to what we were good at.
You figured your bread and butter was the nightlife.
That's it. So just stay in your lane,
And that corner's a perfect spot for it.
Well, that was it. I wasn't all that inclined at the time necessarily to get into that business, but when that location fell to us, I said, you know what, this corner is too good to pass up. And we did have notions about King Street at the time was really lacking a place that was partially a club, but had that laid back vibe. Dress code wasn't going to be enforced. Really friendly bouncers was a big thing. Servers and bartenders that remembered your name, that, to have that kind of friendly, really approachable vibe. At the time it was all about are you wearing a collar and dress shoes and these blazered bouncers who are I don't know who you are, and it's kind of that old New York, LA vibe that also changed as well. So we that was what we tried to do, and then others have kind of fallen that lead over time. Not to say they followed us, so to speak, but the place on King that you probably go to now.
Yeah,
they're more laid back too, but at the time that's what we felt that King Street was lacking.
Yeah. Well, because before it was always you had dress code was if you didn't have the proper dress code, you weren't getting in.
Right.
No matter who you were, unless you know the owner. But before it was strictly gotta look good, dress pants or dress shoes, button ups, collars. It's you can't wear sportswear, any sportswear. It's sometimes sportswear is cool.
Totally, and that's the thing.
Underneath a jean jacket or something, it still looks fine.
In 2015, there was a gap there that was going on because T-shirts and runners became the cool look for a Saturday night out. Yeah. And some places were still sticking to this antiquated thing about collars and whatnot. But not only that, it was just the jerkish treatment. And, guys like yourselves, guys who we knew who were cool, influential people that you want to have at your venue. These bouncers were just being rude to them. And they're I just want to go somewhere where everybody, the whole cliche, the cheers, where everybody knows your name. That's kind of the idea, let's be really welcoming. And then people will just know I'm going to get in there. I'm going to have a lot of friendly faces who, give me a high five and offer me a shot. And that's what we tried to achieve. And I think we did a decent job. Yeah.
It is a good move too. And now that you say that, it kind of makes sense. But back to the point you said about the New York, LA type thing. I did start to get the vibe. I used to live on King Street in 2015. I first moved there. Yeah. And I was actually across the street from EFS for a couple of years. Okay. But around that time, don't get me wrong, I had a blast. And it was amazing being there. Some of the best nights I've had out there. But I did start to notice near the end of that into 2017, 2018, when a bunch of new spots opened. King Street's been, has been overhauled big time in the last decade, but more so recently. Yeah. You started to get that impression. And I was it has almost it's starting to become a bit pretentious. It's let's go, this place is new, let's go here. And dress to the nines and go here. And there was not a place where you could just be yourself. You wanted to be, go in, have a good time. Yeah. It was few and far between. So, I'd never really clicked in my head that that's what you guys are trying to go for, but it's a really cool approach, right?
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
A lot of places it is the status and be cool and dress, wear your best outfit. And it showed, definitely.
Yeah, I believe, if I recall, like Belfast was the next one that opened up. Belfast is a little more pubby, but the music turns up, people party there. They continued that sort of trend. Then you had locals followed by laissez-faire. It all sort of started to deformalize. I don't know if that's a word, but and I think that's a lot. That's the speed of a lot of the people that we know, and that's what people like when they don't want to be treated like like peons. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
They just want, oh, hey, come on in. Oh, I know this guy. Whatever.
Yeah, and the idea too, especially with the rise of like Toronto sports. Like I feel like, remember, like the Jays did that big run in 15 or 16.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's got their jersey on.
Yeah.
So
after the game, you have to let that in.
Who's going home to change to go out again?
Yeah.
No, you just had a great Saturday. You've been drinking all day. You just want to go straight to the bar at 9 p.m., which is exactly what bar owners want.
Yeah.
People showing up early, so
Absolutely.
they get that secondary rotation at midnight.
Yeah.
So it's like you almost have to adapt, or else you're not going to make it. Same thing with the Raptors for the last few years.
Absolutely.
Every year is a deep playoff run.
Yeah.
People got their Raps jerseys on. You, what, you can not let them into the club?
Yeah.
You have to.
One of our only places we drew the line was flip-flops because your foot could get cut open.
Yeah.
And also, who wears flip-flops to a club? Like,
I know, right?
Like, you know, flip-flops to a bar, put some cover your toes.
I know, right? I know.
That's a good line to have. I think that's fair. That's a fair one.
Well, yeah.
To actually, honestly, fun fact, I don't know the last time I've actually worn like flip-flops. Even when I go on vacation, I have a pair of Nike slides that I sometimes wear. But even when I go on vacation, when I go to the beach, I wear either runners or loafers.
I've become like that too, which I used to do the flip flops.
It's not like I'm not insecure with my feet at all. I actually think I have fairly nice feet. Like, I'm not bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know why.
There's something about them. They've become a little too, I don't know, bum.
Yeah. Well, they're even becoming, I think,
slides.
to your point of being casual.
Yeah.
Like slides I like wear. I'll wear socks and slides to go walk around.
Yeah.
But I think it's getting to the point where, the younger generation, even just more the casual athleisure look, it's becoming more prolific. And I think that people are just thinking now that slides are okay to wear out.
Right.
When I think that that's kind of like, be yourself just how you want. But at a certain point, like,
take it easy.
Yeah.
It's
you got to draw the line
like,
somewhere.
I used to never. So if I was going on a Starbucks, I'm kind of a Starbucks regular, or sometimes Jimmy's Coffee, what have you. But I like to go and grab my coffee. I used to always draw the line at no sweatpants to leave the house. Like, if I'm going in public, I'm going to put jeans on. The pandemic's kind of broke that down a bit for me.
Yeah. Like, I actually don't know the last. I've worn these. I don't even know the last time I've worn jeans. Really properly worn them.
Well, now I've gotten a nice collection of sweatpants.
Yeah. I'm a big slide, like
times.
socks and sandals guy. If in the summertime I'm in them steady, I got terrible looking
You're
feet.
You're dad in training, Rick.
I tuck in my shirt. I tuck in my t-shirt.
Yeah.
Jokes around all the time.
Actually, I like it. I'm not complaining. If I didn't have the gut overhang, I would do the same thing. But it's a good look.
Now, eh? I like it. Yeah, but I do socks and sandals, like grocery shopping in the summer. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Might not even have socks, just sandals. In the fall and in the spring, I do socks and sandals pretty steady. Not to a bar or to a game, anywhere I'm going to see people I care about.
Fair enough.
But, I need to go to the grocery store, go to the LCBO, or go, I don't know, pick up a pack of gum. I was going to say pack of smokes, but I don't smoke. You know what I mean? Like the cliche, go pick up a pack of smokes.
Pack of darts?
Yeah, pack of darts. Don't smoke. I wanted to ask, why'd you get into the hospitality nightlife industry? Because if I'm not mistaken, you have a law degree.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, I came up in Halifax, and I originally came to Toronto to practice law. I got I was fortunate to get into a pretty, well-established firm here. So I came pursuing corporate law. It came from a background, my father's a lawyer. So when you're early in life, you often don't know what you want, but you pursue what you're supposed to pursue. And not like there was family pressure, so to speak, but I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And from the beginning, like from law school, articling, practicing, I never really enjoyed it. Law is very dry. It's like,
I'm listening.
Periods, commas, so the whole time I'm like, I'm not enjoying this, but I'm going to see it through. And then, ultimately I was 2 years into practice, and I said, all right, that's it. Like, I'm going to make a move to something I always was sort of entrepreneurial when I was young. So I left to pursue a business startup. I always just want to kind of control my own destiny and had that aspiration. And then the first thing was a online startup that was sort of related to law. Online startups are tough. You kind of hit a wall at one point there, like, money's not coming in right away. And, I like to go out. I was very social at the time. And so I was looking for all these little avenues to make a buck. And because, you're dipping into your savings totally with that startup. And, I got approached to put on a New Year's party with another guy. So, a lot of these Bay Street people, the idea was a one-off. And then the big sort of breakthrough was, this is back in 2020, this is back in 2010, approaching 2011. And after the New Year's went, we said, well, what is Toronto really lacking? And that was, the big idea at the time was, well, why doesn't Toronto have a huge St. Paddy's party similar to what you see in the university towns like London, Kingston, Waterloo. And we finagled our way into getting the St. Lawrence Market to put it on. We're able to do a 3,000 person event there. And kind of I took the background I had, a bit of a spreadsheet approach to it, and, ended up making a go of it and said, this is really fun. And it's, a good business if you can really approach it right. And kind of continued. It was always initially going to be a temporary thing, or it's a means to another thing. And then, we kept realizing there's more opportunities to do this a bit differently than others. So it eventually led to an events company. I was never going to do anything with bars, but then those doors opened a little bit and I said, why not? And yeah, so kind of bored you with a long story there, but essentially it kind of happened by accident would have been the quick answer.
Yeah. We don't like quick answers here. Don't worry.
All right, good.
I'm like, that's a short story bit of how I tell my stories. So don't worry.
I like people tell long stories.
Yeah.
It's not when I do it. Every time I do it, I'm like, man, was that 25 minutes?
Every time I say something, I'm like, okay, wait, that's gone on forever. Let me wrap this up. And then I'll go another 10 minutes and then I'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
No,
so the law thing hasn't hurt me. It chewed up, 3 years in law school, a year of articling, 2 years of practice. It's like close to 6 years. But it does teach you a certain way to think. I've come into situations since where, there's a certain amount of credibility that goes with it. When you're trying to get together some investors or just, there's a lot of things I've learned from it that have gone to our advantage, and I wouldn't change it. But ultimately that wasn't the career for me, but it's kind of led to some successes in other ways, or some breakthroughs just from, the ability to learn from it.
And that first big St. Paddy's Day party, SPD, right?
Yeah.
We went to a good amount of those.
Did you go to the ones at the St. Lawrence Market, or two?
So I think I went. No, I didn't go to either of those.
Yeah,
I think the first one I did was Ontario Place.
Okay,
so
that
Ontario
was
Place.
The fourth. No, that was the third.
Yeah, because then there was the parking lot at Gov.
So the first two were St. Lawrence. The third one was Ontario Place. That's where we tried to go really huge, and we built a whole tent city. The expenses were insane to try to build everything. So even though that year, I think to this day, it was also the dates fell in away. So it was a 2-day thing. I think to this date, it's a record attendance because we were able to there was no cap to attendance, but it was also the only time I think we either lost money or barely broke even because of the expenses of the heating, the porta potties, the building the tent is, so you learn things every time, right?
Is it expensive to build those big ass tents?
Oh man, especially someone like that, the team that did it was massive, and yeah, but it was a learning experience. And then the next year we went smaller and did Amsterdam Brew House.
Yeah. I didn't go to that one, but I remember that one.
And the next one was the parking lot of outside of
Rebel.
Rebel.
Yeah,
formerly Sound
Academy.
Academy.
That's the first one I went to.
Yeah.
I think it was still called Sound Academy. Whatever.
Actually, anyhow.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah. I'm, who cares what year's what? I'm sure we're boring your audience right now, but it was an interesting evolution. And yeah, the St. Paddy's one has also always been the one that, led to other things. We ended up doing some pretty cool things around TIFF and opened other doors and kind of got us on the map a little bit. And also I have an Irish background. I'm still my favorite event. I see you there every year.
Literally one of my best childhood friends
cannot
is
see Ricky at
Irish.
those parties.
Yeah, I got the same outfit every single year. I don't touch it. It basically sits in my closet until every St. Paddy's Day. And I actually just asked this to some friends this year, if you could go out on St. Paddy's Day this year, it's a Wednesday. Yeah. Do you celebrate the weekend before or the weekend after?
So Wednesday. We have had it on a Wednesday before. It would probably be after. So basically, the way St. Patty's typically works, there's a day of party or day of event, and then the Saturday will always, on Wednesday would be after. On Tuesday would be before. Yeah, it's always tricky when a holiday falls on a Wednesday. Halloween, however, because we've thrown some big Halloween events in the past, it's never after.
No, never.
You never put a costume on
Or
November.
it's the industry night after. Like if it's a Thursday, there's that industry party. Like, or no, sorry, if it's a Wednesday, then the Thursday after is that industry Halloween.
Yeah.
So I went to a couple of those.
Yeah.
You
probably had a good time or two.
For sure.
Oh, you're good. Halloween's a good one. St. Patty's I haven't done in a while. What's happened? This year's not gonna. There's no St. Patty's this year.
No, we actually thought, like, we were optimistic.
Wait, did you guys do it last? No.
So this is March, remember? Yeah. So it was actually, that was a very dramatic, stressful week because the event last year was taking place on March 14th. And all of a sudden COVID was spiraling. You know, it went from on March, say like 9th or 10th, we're good. Maybe it was more like March 7th or 8th, like the week before, like the Saturday before. It's going to happen.
You're good.
COVID is happening, but it's not really a big thing, to the point that Monday, Tuesday, and I believe Tuesday was the day where Tom Hanks got it. The NBA got canceled. Like everything, It was like I think we would look back on it like a historic day, because all these news headlines dropped and it just was out of control.
One after the other.
So the next day, the Wednesday, the Ontario chief medical officer came out with a whole thing about no big events. And so, we're only 3 days away, but it's off. And we were optimistic that at first we thought we could do a halfway to St. Patty's party in September or something. But yeah, even this one we thought, okay, we can have some outdoor quasi version of it at what the new cabana is.
Yeah.
But
the new cabana.
Cabana has become fully winterized. So that happened like October, November.
Huh.
So we were optimistic back then that there could be this sort of distanced winterized version of SPD, obviously less people, but still a fun thing at this winterized cabana. But now,
so did they winterize it in hopes of staying open through like the winter and everything?
Yeah, because they killed it this summer, right? They created this cool restaurant vibe.
Yep.
And then they winterized it.
It's so crazy like that. That's the worst thing that all especially in the hospitality industry, like all these companies. It was so like much. I remember the beginning. I was like, this is the problem from day one. I was like, there's going to be a lot of assumptions made with incomplete data, and people are going to be like, we're trusting people who don't even know what's going on, and they're experts, but they also don't know, and they're going to make decisions. So
sure.
It was like they literally, I'm going to use this saying again, I haven't in a while. They were flying by the seat of their pants. They just kept making decisions on like it was changing every day.
But you're absolutely right.
So think about that, like somebody like. I'm sure, I know Charles, I don't know him personally, but Charles is the owner, but I'm sure that Inc. spent a ton of money to winterize that place. Yep.
So did so many people with their patios, and it's sad, really.
60. And you do all that. So you do all that. The government says, okay, cool. Put a cover on it, put heaters, it's outdoors, you can do it.
Yeah.
Then they go and do it, and like a week later, oh, no, you can't do that now.
Yeah.
I mean, so who's paying for that? Who's taking care of those people? I understand people are going to say, well, they make money through the year, and you can't, they're making money hand over fist. That's not the point.
They're not,
you're telling somebody to do something.
Well, especially restaurants, like restaurant margins are so lean.
For sure.
And a lot of restaurants, you guys come from family businesses, right? Like they're family businesses. They're not, there's a public perception sometimes that any individual business, these business owners are so wealthy. The margins are so thin that some of these restaurants, and you may look in the face, that place is crowded on a weekend, and we make an assumption they're killing it. But because margins are so thin, they're only busy a couple days a week. It's seasonal into some degree. Rents are so high here. Food costs have gone up, but prices at the restaurants have not been able to increase to the degree they want. Like a club sandwich, nobody's going to pay $24 for one now. You got to stick at 17 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like people make assumptions that, they're fine, but actually like they're just skating by and making enough to keep their family going,
Yeah,
so.
I've just been more so like I was using him specifically, Inc. because they have so many venues, all this
Sure,
stuff. I'm sure on a regular basis, like his company, he's one of the bigger restaurateurs.
Oh yeah.
Hospitality. So I was just making the point of like people might say, okay, well, he probably does okay, but that's not the point. The point is like, you're giving people rules and then they follow the rules and you change the rules on them. It's like, it's literally like holding the carpet out in front of them saying, stand here for a second. This is a safe spot. Then you pull the carpet out from under them, put it there, and just keep doing that back and forth.
Totally.
And that's literally what happened. And I know we're going to probably get to this point, but you're saying you're optimistic that probably by this March. And I know where you're going to this. We'll let you elaborate, but
sure.
How the hell did we go a year and just sit like this has been a year now? Like a year has gone by more or less.
Yeah.
And we're in the same position we pretty much were back then.
I know.
One of the
like,
worst,
has anything really changed since a year ago?
Well, we've gone through little cycles, but more or less, no.
Yeah.
The worst part is that a lot of these businesses, they were already struggling to survive. They spent the money. They adapted to the new rules. They built these, outdoor patios, or they covered it. They did whatever they had to do so that they could stay open to stay afloat, because nobody was really making money when you're half capacity. It's a bit borderline impossible. You can't stand up. You can't drink. Bottle service isn't a thing. So any nightlife that stayed open, and you're closing at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., how are you really making money?
And for the record, where opinions fall about this, my opinion has fluctuated through the evolution of this thing. And I'm not gonna be one of those people who sits here and says, my Early Mercy is one of my core businesses. I don't believe Early Mercy should be allowed to be open, so I'm not going to try to take that selfish or totally biased view. And I understand why a style of venue or a style of place where we've all got a crowd together doesn't work. Yeah. But to George's, both your points, this whole telling you can do something and pulling it away, and the idea, like when they did the lockdowns, they did it last minute. Okay, it's Friday and we're not, it's lockdown. Well, some restaurants just spent $60,000 on food inventory for that weekend. Like, could they not have given a roadmap?
Yeah, but then they gave Vaughan and the outside cities that well, you know what? It's not the same. But the point I was making too is what happens in, let's say this summer, this spring, whenever COVID does kind of end and the lockdowns open. Yeah. What happens to the restaurants that didn't make it? What happened to those amazing old mom and pop shops that were around for 30 years that didn't make it? And let's say TIFF rolls around in September, and you get all these celebrities and athletes and influential people that come to the city, and their favorite spot that they go to every single TIFF is gone.
Absolutely.
What happens then? One of the best parts about Toronto is that it's so multicultural, that we have so many different varieties of food, so many different experiences, so many different venues. Well, you know what? Soon, maybe not even soon, a lot of them are already gone. You see the list. I think there's 400 bars and restaurants that have shut down in the province of Ontario. And
no doubt, Rick.
Sad,
right?
It is tough. I mean, at the same time, too, that the restaurant. This is not to take away from. I'm not going against your point. The food and restaurant industry that you also got to remember is one of the most I think the word's anti-fragile industry. So even in a regular year, you're going to lose tens and 50s of restaurants in a city in a given year. Restaurant industry is probably one of the highest failure rates. Any new business, but restaurants. So to the point of I understand. I think I have a different approach. The one of their favorite restaurants closed. I think that's a kind of a hard one, because every year there's a new restaurant. Like there's a handful of new ones that open every year. But again, the circumstances, it was nothing that they did. It wasn't against. It wasn't their wrongdoing, and people's hands were forced. Like
a good example is Franz.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's a good UFT Ryerson spot that's now gone because of COVID, strictly because of COVID. There's that Italian pizzeria. I forgot, near Etobicoke, Mimico area. So it's been around for 30 years. It closed COVID, right? So it is what it is. But I guess this is a perfect segue to now what you're doing. You've kind of taken a full 180 from nightlife, hospitality, and focus your entrepreneurial spirits into something that's very important, and that's COVID testing.
Sure, yeah.
That was a good segue.
I guess I kind of the mentality there, I suppose, was if the beast squashes your business, then you might as well try to get into another business and try to fight the beast, right?
Oh, I like that.
I find myself in business, and I've now been a quote unquote business owner for a little over 10 years. And the stuff that really resonates and the stuff that really goes well is the stuff that you're passionate about. And then this last year was really frustrating. And also a lot of good luck, good fortune was involved with this transition as well. I met my partners with it, which HCP Diagnostics, Dr. Tarek Sardana and Melissa Monroe, who were accomplished in the field, and Melissa heads up operations, has built this amazing nurse team. I think you guys met Shauna yesterday, who came and tested you guys, and she's built an amazing team with not only good nursing skills, but great personalities, which has resonated with the people we're servicing. But the whole mentality there, the whole notion behind it was that we wanted to keep workforces going, keep companies going. So there's a pretty wide range of businesses we're working with. Film studios and TV studios have been one of them. Construction sites, plants, manufacturing, and then just sort of some regular downtown workplaces of all varieties, really, and some travelers more recently. But the idea is just to keep everyone going, to keep on top of the testing that allows these places to be compliant. And, it feels really good to be involved with it. It feels good to be part of the solution, I suppose. And, hopefully we can do something that helps people.
Yeah, we had it done yesterday. And honestly, I was expecting, you hear people tell them when they get them done at the hospitals and, they shove the thing up your nose and it's terrible and it hurts and this and that. We did it and it was honestly felt like nothing.
Well, that one at the hospital.
It tickled the shit out of my nose.
It was ticklish, right?
Yeah, I was like, it was hard not to sneeze and blink. I felt like my eyes were being held open, kind of. Even with the nose, it was a weird feeling.
So the one at the hospitals that's called NP, nasopharyngeal, and there's different methods of the different test types work with. The ones that we do are called anterior nasal, which doesn't go so deep. So, and that's important to a lot of our clients that they work with. Some, like I said, these film studios, they're doing tests constantly, and some of the actors are doing it, and nobody wants it stuffed so far up their nose that it hurts and whatnot. But anyway, this test is equally as accurate. But it's funny you said that, George, because the very first day that I got involved with the testing, that I joined forces with them, I went on site for a lot of the tests, and there was one of my clearest memories is this one company we had. He's brought his wife and daughter in, and the daughter was young and she was scared to do it, rightfully so. It's kind of weird. And the father, and this was the last test of the set of tests for this, so we did 30 odd tests. And he's like, no, I'll show you how it's done. And he was very confident. And then, it's not a painful test, but the tickling, it made him have one of the strangest reactions I've ever seen. His face was all, he went all red.
So
he was
like a baby
he was half
on lemon
giggling,
juice or
but half
something.
like, ouchie. Like he just kind of like reverted back to being an infant.
Yeah.
And then the daughter started crying more. And then we're all there reassuring her like, no, it's actually fine. And the daughter took it way better than he did.
Really?
In the ride afterwards, we're all kind of chuckling about it, but everybody reacts differently.
For sure. Like, I think you were fine.
Yeah, it was great. We were here and we sat down. Shauna came in, introduced herself, kind of gave us a little, not a pep talk, but she's like, here's how it works. Yada, yada, yada. We sat down. I was done in literally a minute.
Yeah.
It was so quick. I'm like, that's it. Do I have to do anything else? Like, no, you filled out the paperwork online. That's it.
Yeah.
He went up a couple of minutes later. I think she was in and out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just
She's
so
efficient.
Convenient. Right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and 24 hours later, almost exactly, we had 24 hours later, we had the results, I think.
Good.
Not even, yeah. I got
we
mine
did it,
earlier today.
What time did you do that? I didn't even, you told me to check my thing. I don't remember what time I got it, but almost 24 hours.
Let's say 24 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Negative that's my first ever COVID test.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I haven't done one yet. Knock on wood.
I've had a
Is
good.
that even? It's gotta be.
I don't know what that, but I'm not superstitious.
So
Good.
yeah, I wanted to. I
Good on, eh?
I wanted to get one probably this summer, just because I hadn't got one. I wanted to just go just to make sure, right? Like I've been basically living with my parents.
Sure.
My dad's relatively high risk. My mom's, not high risk, but not low risk.
Okay.
And I wanted to go I was like, I'm going to make it a bi-weekly thing. I want to just go every other week just to make sure. And then you hear, okay, the lines are 2 hours. I'm like, I'm not waiting 2 hours.
Yeah.
Who's got 2 hours to wait in line? And then you find out that you can't get tested unless you've either come into contact with someone or you're not feeling well. So I'm not going to tell them I'm not feeling well.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to make me quarantine regardless. What if the test takes a week to come back and I'm stuck inside for a week, even though I didn't really feel bad?
Yeah.
So it was nice to get it done because, again, that was my first experience with it too.
Yeah, good. We're actually, I know you mentioned Brampton. You have a presence in Brampton.
Yeah, that's my day job is.
Okay, yeah. So we're actually starting soon at a clinic that's there called MiraCare. They have several clinics, and our first rollout will be at their location in Brampton.
Okay.
So we'll
Whereabouts?
That I don't know the specific address in Brampton. I know it's right by the Amazon factory, if that helps. But we will have because to date
yeah.
we've been strictly mobile. We come to work sites and a variety of places, but we're going to have a actual physical placement within that clinic, and they actually have 20 some odd clinics within Ontario. So the first one's going to be Brampton, because Brampton's actually a really hotspot.
Yeah. Oh, densely populated city. Like, people don't realize. And this was back when I was in high school, so 2007. Mississauga, like Peel region, had population of 1 million. That was 2007. It was the sixth largest city in Canada.
Yeah.
2007. So imagine now. I would venture to guess that Peel, being Mississauga, Brampton, is probably like population-wise maybe fourth, fifth. I'm guessing now. We don't have Jordan fact check, but
it's boom.
But
there.
yeah, it's crazy. And people don't. I mean, it's a little more spread than Toronto, not stacked on each other, but it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's obviously a good place to be for you guys.
Yeah. It's a good partnership we have there, and gonna kind of roll it out location by location. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to have a fixed place, because a lot of people, it does cost a premium to have a nurse come to you. So this allows us to cut the prices drastically for those people who want a place to go and get that quick turnaround time. And
yeah, I want to ask, most times when you're setting up a business, you have like, I guess, a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan.
Yeah.
With this, were you able to have that? And like, you come from, I guess you mentioned earlier, that spreadsheet kind of background.
Sure.
Do you have a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan, or is it kind of, you're just going with the flow?
Yeah, no.
Who knows what it's going to look like?
This one we had to modify that idea, and that is, you're exactly right. That is exactly how I'd build any sort of business. And a bar or a restaurant, we'd look at, if you break even in the first year, you've done amazing. It often takes a year and a half to 2 years, even in the best of situations. But with a model like this, it's a more immediate. It is a little bit less overhead heavy, and so but more or less, the main driver here was not to go out and be to focus so much on crazy finance or anything like that. It was to do a service for the public sector, to help alleviate the demand on the public testing, to feel like you're contributing in some ways. And if you can, keep paying your mortgage on it, so be it. And so, I've been grateful for it.
That's awesome. It's really good that you got into it. And obviously, I'm sure it's helping out the cause and everything, because I don't know everything went on with COVID. I honestly, at this point, I've tried to block it as much as possible.
Sure.
It's
because it gets tedious, exhausting. Exactly.
But I know early on, like the trying to get testing done and all that was a big concern. Obviously, now it's to the point where like the vaccine is out, but that's becoming, I guess, a concern.
Yeah.
So obviously, it evolves, but that's good that you got involved with the cause and
we are on the path to being part of the vaccine delivery as well.
Wow.
So the clients that we service and the clients we will be servicing, we hope to be, because when the vaccine is fully here, it's also going to be all hands on deck, right? So the government's looking for partners like that, and we've been in active discussions with them to help. And that's going to feel great to be able to
100%.
That's a seminal moment in somebody's life.
Yeah.
Oh, your company put that needle in somebody's arm.
Yeah, I agree.
My mom had polio when she was young, and to this day she still walks with a limp because she had polio, but that's when I talk with people talk about vaccines, and then that's a whole other side topic, the controversy around vaccines. I'm sure maybe some of that's come up on your Create Your Cast and whatnot, with your opinions.
For sure.
And, I have a lot of responses or thoughts about that, but, there wasn't so much mixed opinions back then. It's like, the experts think that, we trust the experts, and had it been mixed like that, then who knows, who knows where I'd be or my family or anything.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. That's interesting you say that, actually. I never thought about that. Like back in the day, it was like a medical professional tells you to do this. Oh, they're the expert. They went to school and did all this.
Right.
And now when you actually think about it, like people are so skeptical when it comes to experts saying something. You can go on Google and figure something out, and everyone has theories about this and conspiracy theories about that. And like, how did they come up with, this is not me making any proclamations. I don't know, and I don't believe this, but people see vaccines get ready in a year. Like, well, something's up. How did they get it ready? And people can go down any rabbit hole. Well, can paint any picture of anything you want.
This is the best way I think of it. Or where people are going on and writing their opinions about, like, we gotta be, how dare we don't know what should we put in our bodies. Man, you're the same guy who put like this new beverage, Monster Energy Assault, yesterday. You know what I mean? Yeah. Did you check out? Did you call up Monster and find out?
You're on King Street, going drinking all night, and you're going to get a street meat. Then you're going to go in the next morning.
Falls on the floor, and you pick it up and eat.
And Monster Energy Assault, you didn't clear across. There wasn't 95% of the medical or science profession. Actually, I think it's closer to 98 who said, "Yeah, we clear Monster Energy Assault to be in your body." So you know what?
Like, the name of it, Monster Energy Assault.
There's a hardcore one out there, and I'm scared of what's in that thing. You know what I mean? But the same people who are down in that are like, well, good, you know, they're out preaching. But sometimes I feel like, you know, I'm sure if any of your listeners identify in this camp, apologies for generalizing, but if you're going to kind of preach that and try to be this sort of information warrior, then, like, you know, you got to think about these things objectively. And in this world, we've learned to trust experts. These people devote their life to science. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, these are some of the smartest people. I think the smartest two people you went to school with. You know, those people ended up being scientists and doctors who devote their life to studying this shit.
But a guy sitting on his couch or watching the news now, the experts, he's got Google.
Taking a dump on his phone and looking at QAnon.
But it's so interesting, right? Because to that point, like, people, like, you drum up conspiracy theories and all these things, you know, and I'll be perfectly honest. I'm still on the undecided camp to get the vaccine because I'm like, you know what? I can get it. I'm healthy, maybe it helps me a little more. I'm also young and healthy, so do I take it away from somebody? It's also, do I want to get it and be one of the first in line? Maybe not. Like, I'm
gonna wait till they tell me like it's your turn.
But the point for me, it's like, you know, you hear all this conjecture, and that I use that word not to say that everybody doesn't have facts, but, you know, I was sitting at dinner with my parents the other night, and, you know, you're hearing stats, and I hear stuff on this podcast or this thing, and, you know, it's a lot of information. I was like, okay, I think I believe this, but I think I believe that. Even if I believe something or I hear something that sounds accurate, the time it would take me to go and actually factually dig, find the proof to prove my theory. There's some new information now. So now I got to go and vet it again. Yeah. So this is what's interesting. People will come to you with a theory that they've had all from they told me it 6 months ago. Naturally, in 6 months, a lot has changed with what's going on in the world.
Right.
Their theory's the same. And I'm thinking, okay, so you got married to that point back then. And now there's new news, new data, new research. Have you re-stress tested your theory?
Yeah.
And everyone will sit there and preach that they know, and the conspiracy of this, and it's got this. And I was like, how can you spend all day doing your job because you're working, and you can do research, come up, formulate your thing, then vet it, scientifically prove it, and stress test it, and then tell it to me or tell it to anybody that's listening.
To that point, George,
and it's so interesting to me that people just sit there and they'll preach out all these theories and they believe them.
Yeah,
sorry,
and I'm totally with you, and I think that's that same sort of individual, or I think that mentality is, you know, the world in 2021, and we've kind of created that to some extent in that we all have such short attention spans, and we see this is a good day to, you know, Bell Let's Talk Day. People are more dealing with a lot of fucked with people's heads. In terms of mental health and whatnot. And a lot of people really want to be listened to, want to be appreciated.
True.
And that's why I think some of those personalities emerge that want to say, look what I've discovered. And again, I want to stop myself when I say that, because I do totally respect people to have their opinions, and I don't want to sound like, you know, we're talking down on a person who has been reading a lot and perhaps has some strong conviction. So, you know,
fair.
I want to correct or sort of course correct what I'm saying here, but I do think that's a symptom of current society, is that we want to be listened to, and some of us want to come out with an opinion that maybe we don't know everything about, but we kind of want to be heard, and this is a way to express ourselves.
Actually, you know what? That's actually a very good thing, like kind of the counter side of what I said. That you did express that really well. And to be fair as well, when I say the things that I'm saying now, you can, like, Rick can attest to this. I talk out of my ass a lot. I will throw stuff out, but a lot of times, I mean, I'm stubborn. It's not like, he knows this as well, but like, I'll throw stuff out that I know I don't believe, to see if it holds a little bit, and if it has some merit, or somebody says, "Oh, that's interesting," I'm gonna say, "Okay, can I get into this deeper, or will they kind of attack it? Like, in trying to, again, stress test it against something." So I'm not saying people don't know everything. I'm not generalizing. I have friends who medical professionals, all this stuff, who do provide a lot of insight. Shout out to Vishal, because he's definitely listening to this one.
Yeah, he's Vishal.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, a lot of friends, I'm not saying I think people are like dumb by any means or don't know what they're talking about. It's just interesting because, again, like, the world we're living in, and especially, we're just talking about this off air, what's going on in the world today that's been happening, whether it's in the political landscape, whether it's in the stock market we've seen today, whether it's from COVID, what I've come to realize is, one, that like everybody's irrational, myself included. Like every human being is irrational,
Right?
Because the decisions we make are just like on a day-to-day on a whim, and nothing makes sense anymore.
Right.
So those are the two things that I've come to realize. So I'm not preaching or telling people that I know everything on this net. I know nothing.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy how people are confident in a lot of these things, and
it's great. But
so
it's great to be
so
curious,
conviction.
and it's great to be open-minded, to listen to others, and just to have dialogue. You know,
For sure.
And we were talking about this off air too, with the amount of misinformation or wrong information that's spread in today's society, especially online. And Georgie shared an article earlier today that was talking about on Twitter this year they had the most amount of verified users sharing misinformation.
Sure.
And it's like, when you think about it, that those people believe they're sharing like true, real information. And then when you question them, it's like, well, how do you know that's wrong? Well, again, it could be right, but there's a good chance it's wrong. Like we had Georgie, I didn't even tell you this story yet. I had the world's greatest flat earth expert reach out to the podcast.
No, he DM'd me as well.
Did he?
Like, we're all in the same chain. I didn't even open it.
Yeah. Man, let's dial him in right now.
He's the world's expert.
I watched one of his videos. I had to shut it down.
I saw it, and I was just like, oh my God, is this what our podcast has become now?
Dude, if you, I'll show you these videos after. They're crazy.
It's just like, this plane is flying it this way, and if it keeps going, it's just going to take off into the universe. And I'm like,
okay.
Holy crap. I'm not a scientist by any means, but even I know how that's wrong. Like, what the hell is going on here? Like, but it was just
to Ricky's, sorry.
No, I'm just laughing.
I was going to say to
Earth,
Ricky's point, like I got an article this morning. I to the point I'm getting information overload. I subscribe to a lot of newsletters from various different publications just to get different information.
Do you read most of them?
Every morning. Mind you,
I subscribe to newsletters, and then I find myself not reading them when they come in.
No, it depends. I pick the ones that I know I like, so they all have a purpose to them. The Hustle's probably the one I've had the longest.
Okay.
The Hustle's a great one because a lot of it is like, it's good. It's Cole's notes, but it's also anecdotal a little bit, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's a few like business related, a few science related, a few technology. But the one I sent to Rick today, to his point, it said, it talked about how even though big tech is working harder than ever to combat fake news and misinformation, there was a study done by a firm in Belgium, I believe, Belgium or Germany, and they like deduced from all the data they got that this 2020 had the most fake misinformation or uncredible articles, I guess, shared of all time. And majority came from verified users on these platforms.
And dude, 2021 is going to break that, and 2022 is going to break that.
For sure.
Until, I mean, there needs to be a bit of an internet regulation, in my opinion. People say that's kind of impossible, but nothing's impossible. Like, I think there needs to be some sort of, because it's leading to dangerous shit. I mean,
and we've seen that recently.
The Capitol riots is one of them, right?
For sure. And they're actually talking about it right now, which is, I actually read this in another newsletter today. They're talking about
George's newsletter hour.
Georgie filters them, sends them every morning to us. It's perfect.
No, honestly,
you should read this. I'm like, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I'm telling you right now, like I've said this to my, we got Cass up right now, and it takes up a lot of time in the day to run a startup and all that. But most of my day is consuming, like, just reading literature. Like, whether it's newsletters in the morning, reading some, like, in the afternoon, stopping to do some other reading of stuff that I want to pursue a little more, or it's books at the end of the night. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, I try to consume as much as possible. It does make your brain hurt, and it gets you, like, just beats you up after a while. You're like, hey, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
Hearing 10 different things. But what's interesting, what were we getting at about the I did one of those. Lost my train of thought there. I do that often. Haven't done it in a while.
I have the best of us.
We're talking about the regulation, and there's it's interesting. Like, I think there's like some rumblings that they think that it might happen this year or start to, because there's that. I think it's Section 230 or Bill 230 in the States that basically relieves a lot of big tech of liability of what happens on the platform.
Yeah,
there's a lot of rumblings that they're going to try and fix that. But Apple's taking the first step in changing what happens on their app store now.
Yeah.
I just got that today for the first time.
Good for them.
Up?
Yeah, so I got a little notification on an app I downloaded today. So I just, I'm going to plug it.
Was it called Create Your Cast?
No. Coming though. I like that plug. It's called Cast. But I actually downloaded the H&M app today. They reached out and they're doing all their loyalty members. This is a free plug, H&M, so I hope you appreciate this. Yeah. They're doing, anyone who signs up on their their app to their loyalty program gets free 30-minute workouts every Thursday.
All right.
So I signed up because, it's Fit Square, Jesse, Dunphy, and Ivanka.
Yep.
So I said, perfect, I'll sign up. Love them. Like, great guys. I really like H&M too, which is a huge bonus. So I signed up, and today, as I opened the app for the first time, I got a notification. Do you want this app to allow to track your information or not allow?
I've been trying to not
said something about like track your
lately.
information in the background. It was something like that. So I think what that means is even when the app is open but you're not using it, it can still track what you do.
Yeah.
So Apple now, it's default set to no, unless You
Unless you
allow
opt
the app
in.
to do it. Yeah. which
And
I
even
do.
the opt-in, because I actually try to say no, and then sometimes some companies make it very hard to say no.
Yeah. Or they like reword it. They make it tricky.
into a link. But
they
not
changed
that I'm even
now.
paranoid about those things, but once I kind of learned a bit about it, I was like, you know what, like I'm not going to be like militant about it, be like, how do I say no? But like where it just pops up, I'm just going to try to follow the couple links to say nah.
Well, that's the thing now. Apple's changed that entirely. So you know how when you download an app, you open it for the first time and it says, do you want to enable location services? Always
Right.
when I'm using app, never.
Yeah.
Apple is making every app do that now.
Okay.
So
Good for them.
that happened.
But they're
because-
starting off at no now. It's like,
Yeah, the default because there's a
should be
theory
that way.
there's a
Yeah,
theory
that's
in
how it should be.
I think
Yeah.
it's psychology or I forget the name of it, but it's basically it's harder to make someone opt out of something than opt into something. So the default is make them opt in. They won't go out of the way to opt out. Similar to what you're saying, it's harder
Right.
to opt out. You just leave it as is. Apple realized that it's causing bad behavior and it's also leading to people unknowingly giving access to data. So the new iOS system now makes it you have to turn it on to let them track you.
Yeah.
Facebook is going after them publicly. It's like a massive fight now that they're going to hurt their business. They're saying then it's a
Why is
monopoly.
Facebook
essentially.
yeah, well, Facebook's also one of their big arguments that it's going to hurt small businesses. It's like,
I think that's
is this
bullshit.
really going to hurt small businesses, or is it going to hurt one of the biggest
gonna hurt their
businesses in the
shareholders.
world? Yeah,
Facebook has always got to be on the wrong side of some of these arguments. I find like, how greedy can you be, Facebook?
I agree. It's greed, but I also agree. But also, and I hate personally. Like, no, I don't like
you're a
Facebook.
big anti-Facebook
But I just
guy.
think it's I don't
Mark
trust what they
Zuckerberg's
do.
one of the big listeners to this pod, man.
Sorry, Mark.
Sorry, Mark.
If you want to come on though,
But-
defend yourself.
But on the other
pod.
side, what Apple's doing is they have the monopoly in the App Store. So any app that you want on an iPhone, you can't like Android. You can just go to the internet, put it in your phone. If
Right.
you want an Apple app, you have to go through the App Store. So that's a monopoly technically, and they can change the rules as they see fit. So that's also not really fair, like free market capitalism, if you will, because they can just say, you know what, everybody, you got to charge $1 now. We take 10%. What are they going to say?
Right.
I mean, there's certain laws against certain things, but that's interesting because, like, I don't trust Facebook, but now Apple's kind of walking into wading into some watershed of being the arbiter of what's ethical and what's not.
But hasn't Apple always been like that?
They've always been in the App Store, but now they're saying like that this is you're changing every app's business practices because now you know they have them by the proverbial balls, if you will.
I don't think it's proverbial. I think you have them by the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can feel Apple on my balls.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's just interesting. That's
Speaking
all
of
I've been
the-
reading like every day now. Fuck.
You remind me of this opt-in, opt-out thing. And the interesting thing from this week was my home province of Nova Scotia became the first one to say you're going to be by default an organ donor, and you have to opt out of it.
I saw that.
We're not going to force anybody to be one, but now it's default. And whereas there's always in every jurisdiction so every state in the U.S. and every province here, it was you have to
Opt in.
opt in. So Nova Scotia's being
When did they do that?
the other day.
So you know the first country, I think that's what I'm trying to remember. The first country that did it, if I'm not mistaken.
Greece, for sure.
False.
I was going to say
Finland,
Denmark.
there
you go,
Denmark or
Scandinavia,
Finland.
yeah.
So it was interesting. It was I don't know which one book I read recently. Don't know which one. I read a lot. I'm kidding. It was in something I read, but it
One
talked
of the
about
7
his
books
own-
you read today?
It
Pumping
talked
his own
about. I haven't
tires.
read in a while actually. Cast is taking up a lot of time. Download it now, Cast. But there was this study done, and like one country up in Scandinavia, and I'm misremembering which one, but one of them, whether let's say Finland for argument's sake,
It's usually one of them.
It's next to Sweden, right? So they were having, I think, a lot of. I'm going to misremember this whole story, but they're having a lot of organ shortages when they were having like needing surgeries and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So one country decided, you know what? Every citizen is going to be default organ donor. And then over time, they never had the issue. And it was like only an 8% opt-out rate ever.
Sure.
On the other side, the buy-in rate was a lot less. And that goes to the theory. That
Positive
goes to the theory
action
of,
it takes something. Like
it's harder to do something
harder
than
to
not
make it
do
happen.
something. So it's like, it's
And do we really care about like what's going to happen to my liver?
gone. I don't care.
Whether
I
I'm
don't think
getting
anyone wants my
cremated or
liver,
buried,
but-
do I care if my liver's there?
I opted in about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So
You're an organ donor?
I'm an organ
Good for
donor,
you,
and
man.
I used
Oh,
to
I've
donate.
always. I
used to-
actually was when I got my driver's license at 16. I opted in.
Yeah,
And
I
ever
did
since,
mine.
yeah.
I don't think
I think I did mine around 23ish. It was around the last time I gave blood, and I think they asked me that, or somehow they got my email or phone
They
number.
took
whatever
your
they
blood,
called.
eh?
Yeah, I give blood. I used to.
No, I'm teasing.
Got low
you.
iron now. Can't give blood. Yeah. So I give. I'm an organ donor, and the reason why,
Yeah.
because what do I? It's not that people are like, oh, they're gonna take your eyes, they're gonna take your tongue, they're gonna take everything. In your
What
casket,
am I gonna do with it?
In your casket, because they do it right when you die. It's within 24 hours they have to harvest the organs. Is that not a right
No,
word?
no, sorry. I don't
just
mean to
like
laugh
the
at
stats.
this. You know what I'm
enjoy the
laughing
stats.
about? The Office episode?
Yeah.
Best. You watch The Office? Of
course, yeah.
You watch the episode with
With
Dwight?
Dwight
when he's doing the CPR and he cuts the face off?
Right, right.
We got 8 hours to
Gotta
harvest.
harvest the organs. Where's the heart? We need the heart.
Yeah.
Check the wallet. Is he an organ donor? I checked.
No, I checked the wallet. No. What is it, Creed? I checked his wallet.
No. So you have like whatever 24 hours. So the thing I asked, I said, look, let's say I do die before my parents. Will they know that I'm missing my eyes, my lungs, my whatever? I said, no, you look perfectly. I don't want to say stitch you up, but they make you look exactly how you would have looked in the casket. So what is the difference?
And even if they didn't, but that's great that they do. Even if they
I would
didn't,
like don't take off my
Let's pretend
face,
you
like,
had the knowledge that if they could ask dead Ricky, yo, you could save this guy from being blind, or you're gonna look really sweet in your casket.
Well, did you hear the story about
That's true. Not even
Right?
That's a good point.
You hear these all the time in on like
fair.
social media on like Good News Daily or Tank News. Or
Right.
those Instagram
I like
accounts.
those sites. They make me feel good.
You know what? Especially when there's so much negative BS on Instagram and Facebook. Those little accounts.
Yeah.
Tank News?
When they
It's
when
called,
they
you know the guy who
Tank's
does
good
Tank
news. It's
Sinatra?
a really good one.
Okay.
Tank whatever.
So they do these ones. There's these stories that have been happening more and more in the U.S. where a father lost his daughter in a car accident, and she's 18, and then her heart saved another man's life. You know, that man may be 30, and then
They meet up.
Then the guy will come and meet him and offer him a stethoscope to his
can hear your
daughter's
daughter's
hear your
heartbeat.
daughter's heartbeat, and they,
Chills.
you know, it's very
Sad
emotional.
stuff,
You know what I
man.
mean? And
I-
just to think you could be a part of
even
that.
like
you
even
know?
eyes. They do eyes sometimes.
Everything,
Too. It's
yeah.
like you see an old man come and he's like looking at another middle-aged dude, and he's like, "Oh my god, like I see my daughter's eyes in you. Like I love you."
Totally.
Like, it makes you. I
So
would not
personally,
know how this feels, but
I
that's
do
got
not
to
give a
be
shit about
one
like
of those
what
emotions.
my body's gonna look like in its
Yeah,
casket
yeah.
if I could do
You're gonna
that
turn to
one little
dust
thing,
eventually.
right?
You know what? I don't know what the Organ Donor Association is, but here's a plug for you guys
Yeah.
too. Anybody who's listening,
I mean, Ontario,
Go.
I
Hey,
would like you
DM
to,
us. I'll become an organ donor too. I
Yeah.
haven't. You just go to the DM.
I'll
whatever
send you the info. I have a card at home. It says I should keep.
I'll
it
be
you
an
can
organ
opt in
donor.
by just sending it to the ministry, and they'll send you a new health
I
card.
got to get a
that
new
says it.
driver's license. So I think I can do it there.
Same,
I think
actually
health
need
card
one, too.
and
I'm
driver's license,
expired.
either one of them will work.
Yeah, but if you aren't, you should become one because honestly, what are you gonna do with your organs once you're dead? Anyways,
Yeah.
True.
and especially now in today's
PSA.
society where people seem to be.
I feel like we're curing a lot of society's ills with this podcast.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought this was gonna be one of those like entrepreneurial, like feel good success story episodes.
Nah,
I was like,
I
You
don't
know,
want
I'm
that.
honestly just in
Taking
a mood lately. Like
Yeah.
myself personally speaking, where I've been lately, just like I keep seeing what's going on in the world, and like
Yeah.
my mind is just blown. Like not to go back to, I don't want to get back in this wormhole, but like I said earlier, like what is going on in the world?
All right.
That's true.
There's bigger things, but I want to.
but to something, and I don't mean to drive this because I know I'm the
Sure.
guest, but to something much less important because I think we've been really deep this whole time. One thing I really like about both you guys, you're huge sports fans.
Oh, I like that, eh?
a
Nice
good segue.
transition.
No, I'm
I like that.
segueing.
I like that. Oh yeah, since we're there, so we're massive sports fans.
I know you love Raptors, and
Yeah,
so I
Raptors
mean,
are my team.
We had a couple
I
of-
like bleed Raptors. There's two teams that I'm super passionate about. You know what? I don't like to brag, but I do have one very big bragging point that I was yelling a lot last playoffs. Is I've not met a single person in Toronto, and I've met a lot of them, who can say that they're at the first Raptors game, because the actual first preseason game was in Halifax in 1995.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't
my
know
dad
that.
took me to
Yeah.
that.
That's a good fact. I
And
did not know that.
We were in row 2, sitting behind the Sixers bench. They played the Sixers.
Do you still have the tickets?
I don't know. I wasn't that
That's
huge
cool. Where did
memorabilia.
they play? Wait, so where did they play?
They played at the Halifax Metro Center, which is where like the Halifax, which is now called, man, Scotiabank has bought up every damn naming right. So now
Scotiabank?
it's Scotiabank Rink. Like they've every
No, it can't be
there's
Scotiabank Rink. There exists one in Toronto, so it's not Scotiabank
Sure
Rink.
it could.
Scotiabank
Exist.
Center, I think.
But I think they try not to. Do
Whatever it
double
is,
names.
Scotiabank's
Oh,
bought up
fair.
every naming
Yeah.
rights.
I mean, that's somewhere you're
Canada.
gonna know.
Maybe it's like rinks with an X.
Anyway, it was the Halifax
Halifax.
Metro Center back
Also,
in the
what I
day.
hate about Canada, like these big companies that have monopolies own out the rights to every name. Like, is there nothing
Yeah.
original
Well,
anymore?
Scotiabank is taking all the theaters. It's like, hey,
Well, what's
okay,
the one in
Scotiabank,
what's the one up in
relax.
Ottawa?
Was Scotiabank, now it's Canadian Tire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in Canada. Right?
And what's
Right.
what's the one in Edmonton?
Scotiabank Saddle Dome.
There you go.
That's
But like
Calgary, yeah.
Does anybody
So-
like? There's no other company here want to get
Well,
the
that's
naming
the
rights? Like,
strategy
come
by
on.
Scotia. I guess good on you. Like they've done some sort of calculation that says if you repeat this name all the time, it gets in people's heads, and they're like, "Hey, which bank?"
Bullshit. I don't
You know,
think
like
it's
teenagers,
Scotiabank.
like a 12-year-old though. That I think that's the play,
Maybe.
right?
Or maybe it's a
we're going to
long-term play.
Scotiabank. We're going to
I don't
Scotiabank. Now
know.
a 12-year-old's getting his first bank
Do you know
account.
what?
Scotiabank.
Yeah,
That's where you
maybe.
see,
Maybe it
I've
could
had
be
the
the
best time of my life.
psychological play. right? The long-term psychological effects of
I don't
Movie
think so,
theaters.
because I didn't like. I like the Air Canada Center, but I didn't ever. I only flew there.
So
Canada
you know
because
what
I'm an athlete
bothers
and
me?
I had to go to Air Canada.
I'll tell you what really bothers me. Bothers me is a stretch, but what's annoying is there is no good abbreviation for calling it Scotiabank Arena.
No, SBA.
SBA.
That nobody knows what that means.
Terrible.
Going to Scotia? Well, which Scotia? There's Scotia Plaza
You going to the
up on
theater?
King Street.
Go to the theater?
There's
Go to
the
the- you go to the
theater.
bank? You go
It's
to the
been
bank?
so there's no way to quickly identify it. And even saying the full name sounds a little like unimpressive.
Do you know what?
I
Sorry.
really
you
wish
know
it was
what's cool?
still
Like, why
ACC.
didn't you do like okay? Listen, I'll give TD a plug on this one. Like TD Garden in Boston. That's
We're
a
getting
cool,
a lot of free plugs here, guys.
That's a
I don't know.
cool name.
Banks, hit us up for these
Yeah, yeah.
sponsorships.
For sure, no one's going to, but
But yeah, but I sat 2 rows behind with Sean Bradley was 7'6", and I was like, that's it was kind of like a kid watching Game of Thrones. In a way.
7'6" or 7'6".
Yeah, Sean Bradley was a giant.
I don't
man.
remember.
He was the tallest guy in the NBA at the time.
Jesus Christ.
And I was like a real life giant. Like, it was kind of like why like the kid
Yeah.
like a kid on Game of Thrones when the giant stands up. That was me.
That's crazy.
And I was in love with the Raptors. Damon Stoudemire, this is the first overall draft pick. Was in love with we went to the game. The Raptors won the preseason game by a hair, if I recall it correctly, or at least that's my fond.
Vishal will let us know.
recollection.
Don't worry.
Vishal
Yeah,
fact check
yeah,
that.
he's texting us right now.
Yeah.
I've just Googled it. But
You know what?
so
Honestly,
I've
as
loved
you
the
funny you
Raptors
say
ever
that, he won't be
since.
texting us literally right now, but on the podcast, at that point, he'll hear us say fact check, and he'll pull
Yeah.
his phone out, so he'll hear you say.
that guy loves
he's texting us
correcting.
now
Do you-
as he's
Do you
as he's doing
understand?
that.
He'll listen to episodes and he'll just be like, George, that was so funny when you made that joke into a group text. And
I was
it's
like,
like,
what
it's a
episode?
Wednesday at 2 p.m. And we're
And
like,
I was like, V,
bro,
what?
are
Hey,
you
Can you
talking
give me?
about?
At this
don't
point
knock
now-
your fans.
Yeah.
No,
No,
we
we
love
love it.
Vishal.
We tell him.
I love
We tell
Vishal,
him.
but I'll always be like, hey, what
He's
episode?
He's in my football pool, and we have a football pool like
Oh, he's in
thread,
my
text
basketball
thread.
pool.
He's a troll, eh?
He's a troll.
He's always instigating,
Vishal,
provoking
I'm looking
things.
at. If you're not, he's not watching on YouTube. I'm looking at the camera now. You are the biggest troll in that league.
I know he's always he's always arguing with everybody.
Funny. I know he's sometimes I know he's just doing it to stir shit up.
To all your greater audience who don't know who he is, who are like thinking about turning it off, you all have this friend.
Yeah.
All
And
right?
if you don't know
Listen, you all
Vishal,
have
if you don't know
this
Vishal, he's one of the best, kindest, coolest doctors. He's not in the city now. He's in Montreal, but he's an OBGYN. He's a good dude.
He's also
Look
a
at
PAL alumni.
He also is one of the first pals.
Yeah, he was our second ever
We
guest.
give Vishal a lot of shouts, but he deserves them. But he is a troll, and it drives me nuts because I'm like, I don't even want to get into it.
Yeah.
He's like breaking my balls about adding like IR spots and
Yeah.
this. And at one point, he was yelling at me about like draft pick trades, but then he went and did them. He was just, I beat him
Sounds
with a
about
punch,
right.
so he come mad at
Sounds
me and then
about
went and did them.
So
Anyways, we're going
today
on
my
a-
brother texted me out of nowhere. He goes, ha ha ha, Star Wars, the 90s? I'm like, what, John?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's like, in the previous episode, you mentioned how the Star Wars was in the 90s. I'm like, oh, my bad.
You know what?
71 or something?
My most clear memory of your brother, am I right, is I think we were at a bar or something, and we got into some deep Game of Thrones talk,
that's
which
John.
never happens at a bar.
100% John.
But like I think I just mentioned I liked it, and then he went in. But like it's not like I was like, no, I'm good. I engaged. Ended up being a really fun conversation.
Yeah, because he read all the books after season 1 came
Yeah.
out. I
You
think
read them all? They're big, no?
Yeah, they're 600
yeah.
pages each, I think. I think
Yeah,
there's
your
how
brother
many books are
really
there?
knew his
I
Game
think
of
4 or
Thrones
5
shit.
of them? Yeah,
read them all.
John's like intense with Game of Thrones, but shout out
Oh,
John.
yeah.
Shout out
But
to John.
so John's texting me this.
John
He goes,
listens.
John, I haven't
Yeah.
seen you forever, but
Yeah.
good Game of Thrones chat.
He
back in the
texts
day.
me and he
I think he
goes-
messaged me after the fact, like through Instagram, like follow up on our conversation. I was totally
That's
into it.
John, that's John.
yeah, I was totally into it. Like
Yeah.
I liked it. John.
John was like, I'm shocked Vishal hasn't messaged you to correct you yet. I'm like, I feel like Vishal's still like 2 or 3 episodes behind, or else he would message us now. But
Yeah,
back
it's
to
nice.
the stadium naming, because I don't want to
Yeah.
forget this point.
Yeah.
What really bothers me is when you have an iconic stadium, and we had one in Toronto, Skydome.
HCC, baby.
No, but Skydome. That's an iconic stadium.
Yeah.
And Rogers bought it. Why not just call it the Rogers and like keep the
Rogers Skydome.
Keep it the exact same
Because
way it is.
you know one of my problems with that too.
That's
So
so
I'm
interesting.
very
Yeah, why not
I'm
do
actually
that?
very finicky about these names. So to the point that like I don't like that it became the Rogers Center, and I don't like being Scotiabank Arena because Arena reminds me of where I play in Bedford, Nova Scotia, that
men's
holds
league- men's league hockey at
800
11.
people. That's what the arena means to me. And center means a place that can hold about 18,000 people. A dome, a baseball field is not a center. A baseball stadium, a dome
stadium
is
is a
not a
coliseum,
center.
like a-
So you guys are not only putting a lame, overused corporate
Why do they
logo
call it
on
Rogers
at the front of it,
Or like,
but the back end of it
something
is
massive.
not right for what type of building it is.
Yeah.
You know what we're gonna have, guys? Quote me: the Cass Coliseum.
Fuck yeah.
Imagine the new stadium. Hopefully, a couple of years. We'll put the naming rights on.
Yeah,
it.
yeah. You guys,
I kind of know what the value of naming rights goes
Right.
for around.
We know.
around
So if you guys have
city, what they
build,
go
if you
for,
guys
man.
are powerful enough to name rights a
imagine
stadium,
they build a new
I
Skydome
expect
stadium.
I expect a Blackburn box.
It'll be
Blackburn box.
yeah, just for my contribution to this whole.
Hey, you heard it here first. It's an hour mark. You're gonna see the Cass
Holy shit, we've been
Coliseum.
at an hour?
You're gonna see when they build the new stadium. It's talking about building a new Rogers Center.
Yeah.
but it's not gonna be the Rogers Center. 'Cause by the time it's
Yeah.
done, 5 years or so, Cass should be right about there. The Cass Coliseum.
There you go.
Well, Skydome still has the rights for another, I think, 10 years, no?
The property, you mean?
On the.
Well,
on
they're talking
the
about building
dome.
something new.
Yeah.
That thing's not lasting 10 years. That thing is it's iconic, but it is it is in serious. It's the oldest stadium in sports in baseball now, I think.
No,
Yeah,
Wrigley.
it's,
Sorry,
and
Wrigley and
there's
Fenway,
rankings
sorry.
like
Yeah.
Sports
Wrigley,
Illustrated and these
Fenway.
other things have done rankings, and it's ranked. It's at
Near
the
the
bottom.
bottom.
It's basically that.
You know how
and
much it
Oakland
costs to
Stadium.
be, and the crazy thing is to demolition that thing. Like my brother was telling me, it is solid concrete.
Oh,
like
yeah.
to demolition it will cost like it's a fort. It's a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
I actually
the
wonder
problem is
if a bomb went off in Toronto and you were in there, it probably wouldn't get through.
The problem is you can't even use explosives because there's too many condos nearby.
True.
Because usually on big concrete buildings like that, they would use explosives and just dummy it for lack of a
Construction
better
Okay,
word.
wait. Would you want it? You guys, would you want it to stay in the same spot in Ontario Place or in the East End, or
Well, hopefully it stay as central as possible. I mean, I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's doable.
Marketing plays we're gonna do on. This is one of the marketing ploys we're going to use on Cass once it's fully up and running.
All right.
Is we're going to be asking questions to our guests that are already on the app.
Okay.
And see what they think. So what do you think? Because this question does exist.
yeah, we asked.
Well,
them, I think.
for everybody, ideally, like the more central a venue, and I've been going on studies of this because for our own business reasons, but the more central a stadium can be, the better it is for a city's lively, like the economy, the all surrounding businesses.
Yeah.
So if it can stay in that neighborhood, that's better for the city economically. But yeah, there's some talk of it going to the east, like Portland's area, whatnot.
So do you want to know what people think? So the options were East End Stadium, Donlands, Ontario
Donlands.
Place, rebuild where it is now, and move it out of downtown. Those are the four options, with other being an option, but nobody
It's
chose
a
it.
lot of
Yeah.
demographics.
So yeah, you got about 50 votes here. 16% want to see it in the East End. Almost.
I voted East End.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did I. 40%, because I think that would just be great for the East End, and the East End does have a lot of like beautiful areas around
Okay.
there. 40% said Ontario Place, which is interesting.
It'd be cool entertainment
Yeah.
complex.
32%
Central.
said build it where it is, and then 12% said get it out of the city. And the demographics,
what
if
was
you
the
look
get
at
out of the city percentage?
12%.
Yeah.
So if you
I
look
don't
at
really
it, it's all
understand that one.
scattered.
I
you
understand
gotta-
the other three, but not the get it out one.
So I think that's one of the things with Toronto as well. Like looking just from like a design architectural perspective, like Toronto is, if anyone's been to Chicago, they were actually
Yeah,
built
they're
very
very similar.
similarly.
Yeah, yep.
But Chicago, unfortunately, had the Chicago fire that burnt the city down. They rebuilt it.
Right.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Toronto attempted, I believe, Yanni will fact check me. My brother's actually big into this, but
All right.
try to rebuild similar to Chicago with the lakeshore and all that.
We had a fire too, no?
The Great Toronto Fire, maybe.
I think
don't
we
know.
had a big fire
But-
too in the 1800s
yeah,
and
that sounds
1900s.
about right.
The difference, maybe I don't know, but the difference with Chicago is they put a law, I think, in place where you could not build on the south side of the garden of the lakeshore, so nothing obstructed the view of the
lake, yeah,
lake. We
yeah.
didn't follow those
Well,
rules.
that's how you had Grant Park, and
Right.
like they have a beautiful walkway.
Well, Grant Park's on the north side of the lakeshore, the south side. Go ahead. Grant Park's north of the lakeshore. Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. 90% sure because Soldier Field's in like just east of Grant Park,
Yeah,
west
but
of Grant Park.
There's that main strip just on the other side of the water on Grant Park where all those nice big
Millennium.
hotels. Yeah, Millennium.
Yeah, but that's not. But you can build.
okay.
You can build because the hotel's going to say it's lakeshore that you can't build past.
Yes, you're
So
right.
Toronto didn't do that. The reason I said the East End when I voted, and obviously I'm in the minority camp there, not the majority, but they were one of the minorities. But the
Well,
East
George,
End
you
would be
made
cool.
this question.
I did.
Good question.
Oh, I didn't even know I made it.
Good picture too.
Wow.
So if you go follow George on Cast, or if you
George,
type in
at George at search.
or the hashtag that I searched to find this question was Blue Jays.
Okay.
So you didn't
I
write.
didn't even know I asked that. I forgot that I asked that.
But yeah, it's so good when you see that, because think about it. You got 50 people answering this question, and you know that a lot of them want to see it either rebuilt where it is now or Ontario Place.
Yeah. You're essentially crowdsourcing what people want, right? So I mean, if we had the scale, people could say, like, the
let
organization
people
could say,
decide.
hey, what do you guys think it should be built? And you can really crowdsource to see the demographics. And the thing is with the East End, since we're staying on this topic quickly, is what would be cool about it is like it has you look at stadiums in the States, You go to Wrigley, you go to New York, you go anywhere, and where the stadiums are, it doesn't. I'm not saying it's like a blue collar feel, but it almost like it just has a feel where like people congregate. They get off at the train station after work in the middle, summer night in the city. They get down to the stadium, they grab a hot dog, they're hanging outside, they get inside. It's just a nice summer night, and it has this almost like community. Maybe blue collar is the word, but it has that feel to it. And being in the heart of the city is amazing, but I think the Toronto's East End waterfront, the Donlands, the beaches, all that stuff, like having a focal point to build around. Like we have Scotiabank downtown and this. Why not move it there and try to draw some attention there? Put some restaurants, entertainment, some bar, like all of that stuff.
I hear you. It is still very central.
Exactly. It's really still downtown.
True.
It's just a couple of minutes further by Uber.
No, but think about what they did with BMO and Liberty. So BMO, I know, was always there, and what was it called before BMO? That was where the Jays used to play, exhibition grounds or whatever. Yeah. So the Jays used to play there way back when I think before Sky Dome, and then obviously it got drawn to the heart of downtown, Spadina and Brampton or wherever it is. And then you have the Leafs playing at the ACC. So now that's the heart. Yeah. Well, building BMO created us basically almost a second downtown core. Yeah. If you go to Liberty on a Saturday, it's slammed. A good Saturday when the Reds are playing. True. I love it. Shout out Liam Fraser, our boy.
Shout out to Oso.
Yeah. So there's a second time. Imagine you have the Jays playing in the East End. And you have a Saturday where the Jays are playing, TFC are playing, and
it will alleviate that traffic stress that happens right around City Place.
Right, so it's like the ACC will always be Leafs, not always, but for at least the next 20 or so years, will always be Leafs and Raptors.
I don't think that's ever going anywhere.
You guys have swayed me. I was in favor of keeping the same spot, but I think it's a good point because it's central enough. As long as it stays central.
This is what the app wants to do, right? You had your opinion. We laid out some good points, and now you can go and change it.
The app's it's doing a service for society.
Yeah. But to what you were saying too, I think the Leafs and the Raps will always, their home will be the ACC, and the venue was built that it can last, and the design is made to stay. You can do the renos. It's not like you need to tear it down. The Skydome was built thinking it's going to look like that forever, and unfortunately, forever is now. Now forever is now. At that time, it was so state of the art. It was insane, but it sucks for concerts.
State of the art.
Other than the fact that it's an open dome, which is the coolest thing ever. Yeah. It's terrible for concerts because the acoustics. And I'm
I never even realized that you can't have like a mega tour.
So the thing is,
you can, but it's not good.
So for football, it doesn't look good. So even if let's say we do get a football team there, it'll be terrible. Yeah. It just looks terrible.
Yeah.
So
when they did those Bills guest,
it was terrible. You got to do it at BMO. You have to do it at BMO. That's the only way to do it. So let's say without the Jays, they can build on BMO. There's space. Okay. But without the Jays, you can't really have it as a entertainment complex because it's just not built like that. Right. The the SBA was built with the.
Does anybody actually call it that?
I do.
SBA. See the SBA.
So because I used to call it the SBA, but it's just
it's not it's not the Scotiabank Arena. It's just Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was built with it in mind that it's going to be a multi-purpose venue. So it's for Leafs, Raptors, TFC, Toronto Rock, and for concerts. Right. So I think you would probably know this. It's probably booked out 250 days a year.
340.
Scotiabank.
I do know this. It's 340.
No. It's a year. It's less than that. It's about on average like 220 to 250.
I would have believed you, but we've been doing some business studies about the
they're a client.
Yeah.
So
that's the literature that they give us.
We clean every.
I guess you would definitely know.
Well, it depends.
But they give us literature that said 340
because if the restaurant's booked on a night where there's nothing, they count that as a booking. Right?
Oh. They said
I don't know that. I don't know the stats.
They said there's 340 events a year there, but I guess
But wait, just SBA?
Yeah, again, this is sort of like a big book we got from them, but basically, and there's even a breakdown within that book.
Oh, sorry. You might be right because I'm talking about days, but they do double header stuff, so you could be correct. Yeah. I'm talking about days that were
could be true.
Yeah. Because I know there's double during March break, during like the double.
They do we days and stuff.
They have the Leafs during when there's like long weekends. They'll put a Leafs game at 2 p.m. Marlies 2 p.m. Leafs at night, and they get kids in free kind of thing. So sorry, you could be correct.
And they also do the skating nights.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, they do. So let's say it's 340, but it was built with the purpose in mind that it can be used for everything. Right. The Skydome wasn't. So if you tear it down or rebuild it in a different area in the East End, you can spread out downtown, and then obviously that'll be good for the housing market in the East End. Infrastructure, they'll have to build a new subway line, which they're already talking about doing that, extending so many things. So it would just make Toronto such a, I don't want to say bigger and better city, but
spread it a little bit.
Bigger and better city. The downtown core isn't just King and Spadina anymore. Or it's not just Liberty Village. It's, okay, you got the East End, the Dawnlands now, which is basically
the Dawnlands is a lot of potential. I spent a lot of time there this summer.
It's just a big dump.
Yeah,
right now, because back in the 40s, I think 30s and 40s and 50s, all the construction from downtown, like what we know as downtown, and even the 60s, 70s, and 80s, all the stuff that they dug out of the ground from all these places just got dumped at the Dawnlands.
But now that is like the construction epicenter,
because that's the only real massive prime location left in the downtown core.
Yeah, totally.
So like even you see those new condos that are built there. The problem is all that material. So I work in construction. We do a lot. We bid a lot of work there.
Yeah,
all that material is all crap.
Is it?
It's all contaminated garbage. Like you can't use it. You got to send it out, and it's a long story, and I don't want to get into it. But basically, it's just all garbage, and the island itself is basically
made
built
of garbage.
On shit.
Sure.
Crazy.
Yeah. Because when they were, again, like you go digging there and you just find like tires and random crap.
I spent my whole summer there this year. That was
they put a layer. They put a nice layer on top, pack it down. You don't even notice it.
Right.
And you start digging. You're like, what the?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Sorry, I'm not 100% sure on that.
We don't got Jordan to fact check.
What I've heard from my peoples. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. If you know more, hit us up.
Yeah. Fact checkers, we're happy to correct ourselves.
We like to learn about this city, right?
Speaking of sports, let's talk about your boys are going to defend they won it last year.
That's right.
The Chiefs defend the title. The Chiefs. That's
crazy.
Man. I don't think I've ever met a Chiefs fan in my life.
I know, right?
Like, not because
I've actually been a fan for the story of how I became a Chiefs fan is kind of funny. I've been a fan for 30 years. Now everybody assumes
how old are you? Sorry.
I'm older than you.
I know you're older than me, but I always thought you were like an 88, 87 kind of thing.
Oh, a couple years beyond that.
I thought you were just a couple years older than Cam, and that was it.
Yeah,
I never
about that. I've been a Chiefs fan since I was young, so I was getting babysat. I used to get babysat by my nan, and my older cousin lived with my nan, and he was a bully at the time. He used to beat me up pretty good, and he was a huge Dolphins fan. This is again about 30 years ago. Marino, he had all these posters. He put his jersey on. So one time he finished kicking my ass with a pillow. I actually learned later that night he broke my finger. Jeez. But so after a particular rough session, he was like, playoff time, and I'm little, and football is just something I was discovering. And he put all his stuff on, and he was like, Dolphins, getting rowdy around the house, and all his posters up, and they're playing the Chiefs. And so me just continuing to antagonize him said, go Chiefs, go Chiefs. And then it was, as I recall, like this heated game going right down to the wire. And ultimately the Chiefs won. And then my mom and dad came pick me up, and I said, Dad, I got a new favorite. In our house, it was big hockey and baseball. My dad was a huge Yankees and Habs fan, so I'd watch all that with him. But I was like, I have a favorite football team now. And okay, I'm the Kansas City Chiefs. He's like, who? And I got super into it. I was one of those kids, collecting the stickers and the cards.
Midwest, Kansas? Or Mid-Central?
It's AFC West.
No, but like where you would describe it?
It's the Midwest. Yeah, it's almost dead center. Kansas, the state, is the absolute center of the U.S., but it's technically Missouri. It's Missouri, one over.
Yeah.
So I got super into them, and I've been following them forever. And I'll show you actually a good luck charm. I asked for this thing when I was 13 years old out of a newspaper. This is like pre-internet. Wow. There was a Chiefs newspaper that got sent to me from Kansas City when I was little. That would come like 3 weeks late. It would talk about a game that happened 3 weeks ago. And in the back pages there were ads, and there were this gold chain, this charm that was it was a legit 14 karat pendant that I asked for Christmas, and I got it. That it was the Chiefs, and I lost it like a year later. 2 years ago, 2018, when I visited my parents under the Christmas tree, my mom had found it down below like a dresser or something like that, and had it polished and everything like that. And that was the same year we got Mahomes. So I always wear this at playoff time because it's my good luck charm.
Man, I love that.
That's crazy. Yeah, how long was it lost for? Like
20 years.
Come on.
More than that, 25 years.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy.
They still live in the same house I was born.
Mahomes, you're welcome.
Yeah.
James, the reason you got that fucking $400 million deal and the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
500?
Yeah.
500.
I actually almost became a Chiefs fan randomly.
So I've always wanted to know, why did you become a Titans fan?
So me and George are both randomly. It's not like we piggybacked off each other. So
yeah,
I'll tell the Chiefs story first. I remember playing Madden like 2002 or something, and Priest Holmes.
Yeah, he's the best running back
ever.
We've always had
like
great.
Lawrence, baby.
We've had the same profile for so long. The Chiefs. Excellent running back. Excellent tight end.
Larry Johnson was from Penn State. Sorry, continue.
Larry Johnson, Priest Holmes. We had Jamal Charles. Christian Okoye was way back in the day. But we've always had an excellent running back, solid line, a good tight end.
And a mediocre ass quarterback.
Never a good quarterback, never good receivers. And a solid, like a good linebacker and a good defensive end. So we always had all those pieces, but never a above average quarterback and never above average receiver until like 3 years ago with Mahomes and Hill.
Yeah,
and it's just been
Mahomes is crazy.
I mean,
if he wins again and goes back to back and beats Brady, I think who did he beat last year?
Well, last year was the Niners. So Garoppolo.
So you know what? I think I actually just realized this now. I think this would be kind of like the passing of the torch. I mean,
that's it. Yeah, that is the narrative
Brady
this year.
Win, but if Mahomes wins the second in a row and beats the GOAT,
that's it. And last time they faced each other was the conference finals, and the Pats won. That was 2 years ago. So this would be the kind of changing of the guard.
I want to see
Brady
win another, but I mean, he's got what, 6? That's enough.
6 for 9.
That's enough.
Come on with that. Want to see another Brady? Come on.
I just want to see it, man.
Mahomes would be 2 for 2 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it'd be nuts.
Which is Brady. Brady was 2 for 2 in his first.
He was 3 for.
He's lost
3
2.
for 3.
So if he
then he lost to the Giants, 2 more.
He'll either be 6 for 9 or 7 for 9.
He'll be 6 for 10.
6 for 10.
Or 7 for 10.
10, is it?
He's 6 out of 9 right now.
This is his 10th Super Bowl.
He's 6 out of 9 right now.
That is
so, you guys want to know the craziest
he lost
stat
to the Giants twice. Oh, wait,
listen to this stat. Yeah. So I think there's been Brady's appeared
Rams? Who else did he lose to? The Giants twice and who else?
Giants twice and then the Eagles.
Yes.
Remember the Philly special?
Yeah.
So
that was a great Super Bowl.
Brady's been to, I think this will be his 10th Super Bowl. There's only been, I think it's like 40, 45 Super Bowls or something, 40 Super Bowls.
He's been in 18. I saw this. He's been in 18% of all Super Bowls.
18% of all Super Bowls. And then Steph Curry's 3-point percentage this year was like 17% or something. So
no,
it was something ridiculous.
No, he's won. It's 43% or 33% is, like you said, 13 or 33.
33.
The stat was like 33. Steph Curry's like career 3-point percentage, like 32%. Yeah. And it's
Brady was 33%.
Better chance of winning a Super Bowl than he has
a better chance of attending the Super Bowl. Like than Steph Curry making a 3-pointer.
Crazy. Mind you, Steph Curry has a lot more volume. Give Steph Curry 10 threes and making all 100 of them.
Yeah. Those are tough comparisons, but I'm with you. It is crazy.
Back to the story on how I became... George, I'll ask you the same question after. How I became a Titans fan. The first football game I ever watched, I think, was Super Bowl in 2000. Kurt Warner.
Yeah, when they were the
Rams. No, it was Rams versus Titans.
Oh, they weren't the Oilers then. But it was that. It was where what was it? Dyson? What was the guy who reached out and almost got there?
So it was like no seconds left on the clock, no timeout, throws the pass, and Dyson or Mason, whoever, gets stopped on the one. And I remember crying. I'm like, he was in, he could have stretched. And I'm bawling as like a 10-year-old or something, thinking that
you just chose at that time. You chose the Titans.
I picked the Titans because they had better. I like their colors more.
Yeah, because that's the pivotal age, usually around 10, 11. You choose the most innocuous reasons.
And it's ridiculous. I should have been a Bills fan. My dad is a Bills fan. I went to Bills games in my teens.
And I had sympathy. Like, it was hard for me last week because I was up against so many of my friends. And I do like the Bills. Yeah. I want the best for the Bills.
Because they're fun.
Like, if it wasn't Chiefs, I would want the Bills. I've gone to so many games. I love the fans. So I was very subdued in my cheering last week for the most part. At least like publicly, I wasn't texting anybody, trash talking anybody. And I said, like, if the Bills win, that is, I'll be rooting for them. But Chiefs won.
You got to feel pretty good about your cousin too. Like, I want to beat you up and give you all the shit about all that. And now you got the Super Bowl. But Miami, I don't think is Miami. When's Miami won one ever?
So what's funny is that he went on to. He later got an engineering job in Minnesota and became like a massive Vikings fan. Oh. But he also comes from that school of thought. I don't know if you guys, it sounds like you do, where you're like, when I pick my team, I got to stick with it. Yeah. So I told this story and in front of at a family thing in front of his wife, and she's like, "Wait, you were a Dolphins fan?" And he's like, "No, I wasn't," because he likes to say that he was a lifelong Vikings fan. But I'm like, "No, you weren't. You became a Vikings fan when you moved to Minnesota." And he's like, "No, I liked them before then." And he was all defensive about it. When I know that's not
the Super Bowls there, right?
Yeah. I'm Titans through and through, but I just appreciate Brady's talent. So when Brady was on the Patriots, it was kind of always like my secondary team, just because I think he's just. Everything about him is just a stud.
Sure.
And then nowadays on the
I get
Bucks,
it.
even though I don't even like cheering for the Bucks, I'm cheering for them just because it's Brady.
I wish I had
Pretend I'm not mad about it, but I'm a bit mad about it.
I like Tennessee. I just picked them because Eddie George. That's
Yeah,
it.
you sick.
See, that's it. But those are the reasons.
They've
Right?
had
Your
some-
kid.
was when they played
They've had some
Baltimore,
cool
so when they
players. Like, yeah, they. I mean,
Well,
the
Vince
Titans-
Young also went there after. He's my favorite college. He's my favorite. Probably my favorite player ever. I think he's an idiot. I saw Vince Young play in the Rose Bowl the year before.
Oh, that was a sick game.
No,
I remember
the year
that
before
clearly.
USC, the
Yeah.
Michigan one.
Oh, okay.
So not
okay.
the year he won.
Not the Texas
he
one.
played. Yeah, Texas. So Texas played back-to-back years in the Rose Bowl.
Right.
2005
But not the US. Yeah.
was when
yeah.
they beat USC. 2004. I think
That was the
when I
Reggie
went.
Bush year, right?
Right.
When they
They both won both. Yeah, no, but so the one I saw was Michigan at the Rose Bowl. Vince Young played against Chad Henne, Mike Hart, Percy Harvin, all those guys.
Yeah.
The following year was UFC versus Matt Lyon at Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
And it was 4th and 5.
That game
national
was-
championship
that game
on the
was
line.
ridiculous.
I only got to go see the Rose Bowl because we were in California for
Oh, you
for
actually
New Year's.
saw it?
I was live. I was there. Not the one that, not USC, the one before.
Okay.
So when they played Michigan the year before the national championship,
Right.
just the Rose Bowl, I was in. We went to like LA for Christmas as a family, Disney World, Disneyland, all that stuff. And my uncle who lives out there, we were talking, and I said I'm a big Texas Longhorns fan. I was like in high school. I really liked the colors of the school. Just started liking them, and. Vince Young, I was so like enamored. He was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He was like Mahomes, but not as good, talented. But like back then, he was insane.
I think back then,
In
like
in
college, he was
insane.
Yeah.
He put like 500 all-purpose yards a game.
Yeah.
But anyways,
he's unstoppable.
so I knew that he was playing. I told my uncle this, and he's like, "Okay, let me see if I can do something for you." I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Anything in of it. Ended up getting us 6 tickets on the 50-yard line at 30 rows up, 20 rows up.
Yeah.
At the Rose Bowl, the day before the game. I later found out that one of his like best friends, the photographer for Sports Illustrated, like long time.
Yeah.
The craziest thing I've ever
Put me in
experienced.
touch with your uncle's friend.
Yeah,
His craziest
seriously.
thing I've ever
Sports
experienced.
photographer,
Right?
Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, and I saw him play, and then from that moment on, I was like, I love college football. And
So
the
you guys
following year, they won the
We're
Rose
both
Bowl.
Titans fans.
Separately.
It's not like you were like
No.
buddies and got together.
No.
That's so because you're literally the only. Well, you said I'm the only Chiefs fan. I don't know what I know.
So
no other
I don't know
Titans
many other
fans.
Titans fans. Oh, we have one other
Yeah,
buddy.
I got one of my good buddies from high school.
Shout out to Glenjamin.
So our good buddy, Mike Daniel Moretto, is like the diehard Titans fan.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's
Crazy.
missed.
So now there's
I don't
four.
Think,
Like,
so
I
I don't. I
can't-
don't think he's missed. Like so, he doesn't go to all of them, but he goes to one a year minimum every single year. I think minus this year, he goes down to Tennessee or he goes to like Buffalo or whatever. And every single Sunday, he will be at his home or at someone's home, watching the game start to finish.
Yeah.
And even if they're getting blown out, he'll watch the entire game and he'll text us too. Like, do you see that catch?
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I'm a Titans fan, but I'm not. I don't watch every single
Every
minute of
single-
every single game. If
yeah,
they're getting
sure.
blown out, or sometimes I'm busy at the time. So like,
I respect
I
that
schedule
guy.
my Sunday around the game. He schedules his week around that game.
I generally like. I make sure I catch every Chiefs game.
I don't watch any.
I miss maybe one a season, but actually, what they do in a week ago they came out with who will be next year's opponents, and then in April they come
And
with
then
the
the
actual schedule. I looked at all the away games because I try to pick one to go to, and the one that I decided the city I most want to go to is Nashville.
yeah,
The
let's
Chiefs
do it.
are in.
Let's do
they
it.
play the Titans, man.
Deal. Dumb in. 100%.
Let's do it.
You have to ask
'Cause
me.
you know,
think it's
I
gonna be
still haven't been to
expensive, but I'm
Nashville.
in.
So we did.
I haven't
we
been there, and I know
It's
it's
a sick
amazing.
city.
Yeah.
So in
Sick city.
2014, we did a road trip down to Tennessee on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
2015, maybe 14, 15, in 14.
14.
So we rented this massive RV. We picked up. We started at my parents' house in Vaughan, and on the Friday drove 13 hours straight.
Yeah.
Shout out to John because John basically drove that.
John
entire-
Marco. John Marco ripped through the
Yeah,
rain the
you're
last
right.
half. John Marco, our
Yeah,
buddy, was
yeah.
Killing on the shoutouts today.
Yeah.
Real-
So they,
looking
so
like good
we
people.
drove down. We ended up staying in this like crappy little like half. We got one room in a motel for the guys to shower, and then like
Okay.
the rest of us slept on the actual bus.
Yeah.
Then we went to a University of Tennessee Vols homecoming game.
Nice.
And that's Peyton Manning's
Sure.
alma
Yeah,
mater or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, I know.
So we did that game. We were in a frat at Western too, so we ended up partying at this frat house all day, and like basically just a disaster. The next day we went to the Tennessee game. It was Tennessee versus Jacksonville, and that was the game that it was like 16-12
No,
of
it was
just
like
field goals.
9-6 or something.
Yeah, it was only field goals, not a single
One of
touchdown.
the worst games I've ever
And
been to.
I think I can't remember.
I've been
I
in
think
games like that in
Jacksonville.
Buffalo.
Jacksonville missed the field.
No,
or
block kick to win the game.
yeah,
Tennessee blocked the kick to win
something
it.
ridiculous. It was 9-6.
It's trash. We were just hammered.
Trash.
Though.
I mean, you were coming into a Jacksonville game.
Oh, we were close. We were like on the second row, I think.
Yeah,
we
we
were
had sick.
chirping the punter.
Yeah, I can't
I
remember.
forget his name. We were making jokes.
Chris Long or something. I don't know.
The opposite of that is actually last year, my first time going to Arrowhead was the round 1 game, or no, round 2, because after the bye. Last year's game against the
Oh,
Texans.
you see that low flex there? Yeah, round 2 after the bye.
Yeah. But it was the game that we were down 24-0 in the first, ended up winning 51-31. I went
Who
down
did
to
they
the Texans last year.
Crazy.
Well, last year you beat us in the conference finals.
Yeah, the next
That was
game,
that
we
was
played
one
you the
were
next
up.
week.
Yeah, we were up going into half because Derrick Henry went off.
We were
in the first
behind by
half.
double digits in all 3 of our wins last year.
Yeah. But then you remember the year before? Do you remember 2018?
I'm sure I do.
Bumped them out in the first round.
You
No,
guys
are
were
you-
favorites and we bumped you out, and then we ended up bumping out. Or we ended up losing.
I think
the
you're
next
talking
week.
about 2017 with the the year before is when the Pats beat us in the conference
You're right,
finals.
so it's the year before that.
The year
So it would've been
when what's his
2017.
face had that Mariota had that weird, like he threw it, it got
But I
batted
was
back to
caught
him,
it
and then
got
he
the
ran
touchdown.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, I was pissed.
Mariota's washed. Titans have been really good. I thought this year they had a chance. And honestly, I would have debated going to the Super Bowl if they made it.
You know, they're always in there. It seems like.
As of late, when you have arguably one of the best running backs in
Arguably.
the NFL.
He's the best
Yeah,
running
he's
back
the
in
best
NFL.
one last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Although
even
he
think
was
he's arguable. He's the best.
although that Ravens game, he
has the
didn't get
rushing
it
record
done.
both years, doesn't he?
Yeah, but then all purpose, he's not.
But the running back is rushing. So you're like, you're talking about running back?
I appreciate that Rick's objective about it.
Fair.
It's like,
We can have our own
all right.
opinions.
You know what I mean? There's like Alvin. I think I was
Kamara's
it Dalvin
damn
Cook
good.
or Kamara that had
Dalvin Cook's damn
all
good
purpose.
too. Yeah.
Who would you take if you were starting a team?
The youngest one, because running back aspire fast.
Yeah, that's true. And all depends on what your game plan is too. Like Tennessee's
Even
game
like
plan
Josh
is north
Jacobs
and
on
I'm
the
south.
saying
Raiders.
your team. You have a team today.
Titans. I'm going Derrick Henry. Yeah, for sure.
So he's the best.
Yeah, I'm going Derrick Henry for sure. My boy now. My fucking boy.
I think
Can't
most
go
people, if they
against
were
it.
starting a team and they were like, the thing is, he's a very typical running back. Kamara's more like,
versatile.
Yeah.
Kamara and Cook are
So
more
it's
of those
fair.
versatile 3-down.
but I mean, you
backs.
put the 3 of them against each other, like the guy's built like a brick shit house and he runs like a 4-3 or something. 4-4.
I think it's like 4.38 or
Yeah.
something. He's like 235.
I'll never
pounds.
forget. I kept him in my fantasy. I'll never forget. Never
let's
forget.
not go back to
I kept him in our keeper league.
You traded for him.
Traded for him to keep him the year before Vrabel took over as coach, and it was like whatever the guy was before him, Munchak or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Robinson?
And they were playing. No, Robinson was the GM.
Yeah,
They were playing like they had Deion Lewis as the other running back, and
Right.
Deion Lewis would play more downs. And I was thinking, like, I like watching college football. I try to find the next big guy.
Sure.
And I was like,
Big on-
we
George
have.
is
I was
big on prospects
I was
and
like,
rookies.
oh, big.
Was he Alabama?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the best. Alabama has a history of producing Heisman-winning running backs, and they become a bust.
Well, they get everybody. Oh,
Because
yeah.
Mark Ingram's, if you think about it, who played
Trent Richardson.
Trent
was a big
Richardson,
one.
busted.
Running backs are hard to
Mark
predict.
Ingram. So, anyways,
'Cause they're
Alabama has
blocking
a
their
history.
lines a lot of the time, right?
Yeah. So anyways, I kept Derrick Henry and keep him. My team's doing well. He's not getting touches. I had to trade him because I know I'm going to make the playoffs pretty close. I'm like, I need someone who's going to start. Not this guy right at the pine. I trade him near the end of the season. He starts going off. If I had him, would have won.
Yeah.
Then next year wins the rushing record. And I
So
don't
that
have
was
my
the
buddy
year in
Moretti has him now.
in one of the final weeks where he went off against Jacksonville for like 200 yards, and he has that huge 93-yard run where he just stiff arms
The
the
best,
guy.
yeah.
It's arguably one of the best runs in NFL history.
I think that even I had arguments with this. I think that beats the Marshawn Lynch run.
Honestly, yeah, it's those two. Those are at least in the last 20
The
years.
Marshawn Lynch was a
They're
more
very
meaningful
similar,
game. It was a
Yeah.
more meaningful game, but his like pure stiff arm was just like
He's a
He
superhero
literally
level.
stiff armed like 3 dudes, and one of the dudes he stiff armed, the linebacker on Jacksonville, I think it's Miles Jack, was like he's a
he's
Pro
sick.
Bowler. So it's not like you stiff armed like
disrespected
a couple
some guy.
scrubs.
And then he did it again this year to Buffalo, right?
Yeah, and it was Norman.
Yeah, the
Something
Josh
Norman,
Josh
yeah,
Norman.
and he just tosses them. You see the best is when you now
photos?
there's so many camera angles,
yeah.
and no matter what time you can see the sidelines, and you're just
They
you
love
watch
that.
his own
They
team.
love
just
it.
be
It's like in
"Oh,
posterizing
shit."
basketball, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the oh shit.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it back because we got the football and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I wanted to bring it back to touch on obviously the thing that you're big on now, and
Yeah.
before we kind of get to the point of wrapping up.
Sure.
So with what you're doing now with
Yeah.
your COVID tests and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
HCP, yeah.
Yeah. If people want to get it done, get the test done, whether it's for business or whatever, what is the easiest way to go about it? What kind of recommendations do you have? Can they do it voluntarily? Does it have to be when they have symptoms? Like what, how does that work?
Yeah, so typically the majority of the people we're servicing right now is that non-symptomatic demo. It's a kind of proactive testing that you're doing for your workplace to keep it going. Some travel as well, although traveling is that situation's evolving. So the best thing, we have 24/7 email response team that's going to get back to you quickly about booking an appointment. So it's inquiry at hcpdiagnostics.com. Website's hcpdiagnostics.com. But yeah, there's really a variety of situations where it makes sense to get a COVID test, even if, I'm going to see some family or what have you. And in some situations we'll take your situation. We'll say, you know what, you're better off going to an assessment center, to a hospital. It's all about finding the best solution for somebody. And we're just there again to kind of serve the public good and just try to get on top of this thing, and hopefully we can all get to the end of it. We're rooting for it as much as everybody, right?
Yeah. Is there any like misconceptions or things that you hear people say, albeit like, sometimes it comes back negative or false negatives or whatever it is. Like, are there misconceptions, and are they like, are they founded misconceptions, or just kind of like,
so false negatives are extremely rare. And I often defer to my, physician partner on the exact statistics on things like this, but
that's the lawyer speaking. I like that.
yeah, I got to. But false negatives are like almost the way that these tests work. They're nearly impossible. False positives are less than 1%. But the good news about a false positive is you test again and what have you. But we've had a really low incidence of that. It is in around 0.5%, if not lower. We were actually asked about that with another outlet today. And I think some other misconceptions around COVID that I've come to learn are that this whole thing of like, I can't get it. I do respect the idea that people, we're trying to discourage the idea of getting together too much and whatnot, and that is definitely a main cause, and people should respect social distancing and the guidelines that the government's putting out. But the transmission of COVID is happening through a variety of ways. You have to be responsible in ways that work for you, but it's really about following the guidelines, doing the best you can to respect what's being, given by our health scientists, and not to go out and, form your own opinions, as we talked about earlier, through, what sort of rabbit holes you may fall through the internet and whatnot.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Well, James, we've actually gone a little bit overboard, but fuck, shit.
Great conversation. We probably could have gone.
We probably could have gone. So
yeah,
maybe we'll get this. Maybe we'll get this going again in the spring, summertime, and
anytime.
We'll see
maybe when they fire up the St. Patty's, whenever the hell it happens. I mean, at some point.
Yeah.
But I love
he's even wearing the green too. He's in the season spirit day. But James, thank you for coming on. This has been a blast.
Yeah.
We've got two questions we always ask every single guest. The first, if there was a movie about your life, who would you want to play you? Could be anybody from any given time.
I've always liked, one time I had this at the law firm, they had this Christmas party where they did a reel where everybody had to vote on celebrity lookalikes, and I was complimented to get Colin Farrell. I didn't even see it coming.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome, because I really like that actor. So that was like this random slideshow that went up. So I'll stick with that. I like him.
It. That's a great one.
He's Irish too.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I like it.
One of my favorite movies, actually, he's in Miami Vice, probably.
That's
with
sick.
him and Jamie Foxx.
The Go Fast boat, the one goes to Cuba just overnight. So cool.
Farrell's a G,
He's gangster.
He's in a lot of sick movies.
Yeah.
But the only
Very
problem is I
versatile.
feel like he's just like a step down from, Brad.
Sure.
They always
he's
get
not on
compared.
that
It's just
list.
like a step down.
I watched Total Recall recently. The one that I reached to watch it again.
That was
That
when he
new
did in
one that he
Toronto,
was
right?
in?
Yeah.
I never saw that one.
It was the
So
Toronto.
I like that, actually. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of like
Did you ever see The Lobster that he was in? Really strange movie.
the what?
The Lobster.
No,
It's a very unusual movie, but it's really good.
The Lobster.
And the premise of it is, it's Earth. It doesn't say it's the future or anything like that. But it's basically, you have 30 days. If you're single, you have 30 days to find a new mate, or you're going to be killed, and you are going to be reincarnated of the animal of your choice. So you get sent to this like hotel where you have to be. They're basically saying single people are useless. And I know
I've never heard of this movie.
It's a very bizarre movie, but it's really good.
Okay.
And so he goes to this hotel where you have 30 days to find your mate or you're going to be killed. And he chooses lobster. And people are like, lobster? Like everybody else is picking like tiger, lion, dog. And like, why lobster? And he always has these silly reasons for saying he wants to be
I gotta
lobster.
watch this.
Okay, side note, what animal would you be if you were reincarnated into an animal?
That's a good one.
I don't know, probably like a gorilla or a monkey or something, because then it's kind of human-like. Also, fun fact, I do not trust any what are they called? Like primates. I do not trust them. They freak the shit out of me.
Right.
They're too human-like. I don't trust them. Like when you see them, like, you know, when you go like Thailand and stuff, and you see them on the beach, or like I've been to like Gibraltar, the Rock, and they like cover the rock. They freak. They're just
Sure.
George watched too much Planet of the Apes.
they're freaky, man. Sorry, anyways, I'm taking digressive.
those are
What
good.
animal?
Who's
What animal
yours?
would you be?
I mean, I'm just making fun of what I just said, but I do feel like one of those powerful cats of the jungle would be cool. A cheetah, I think, to be the fastest animal. I think I'd probably pick that. Yeah. Hey, Tyreek Hill, what's up, baby?
Tyreek.
I love it.
Better go off this
Georgie. Finish it off.
What animal would you be?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'd probably be like one of those crazy big whales
Oh,
that just
right.
opens their mouth and
Dolphin.
eats. No, I'm talking about like one
Blue
of those
whale.
A blue whale?
and the fish just swim into my mouth and I just close and that's
That's
how
all
I eat.
you would do all day, just swim and eat.
Well, you don't get hunted because you're too big.
True.
You just coast through the ocean,
I like
and you
it.
can go to the depths of it too because you're so big.
When
Nobody
you're
can
swimming all
A
the time.
dolphin would be sick.
Pretty
I watched some
sweepy in the
dolphin
water.
videos.
Yeah, but
They're
people-
crazy.
Dolphins get hunted. And
I know, but dolphins are smart.
they're one of the smartest animals in the ocean.
Yeah. Crazy.
I think they are the smartest animal in the ocean,
they're probably one of the smartest in the
and
world.
I think they're the only animal that has sex for pleasure.
I've heard that
Could
too.
be wrong, but I think
there's probably
that's-
and there's a couple animals. They're one of the few, I think.
Yeah.
I think monkeys, maybe.
I
I don't know.
We're
We're not
we're not there.
biologists.
Okay, Georgie.
My question: if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Just don't be afraid to fail. It's not that big a deal. You know, like I think a lot of us, we get so nervous about any sort of situation that we just shy away from it. And that was definitely sort of my mentality, I think, in my teens and early 20s. You know, you get shook, so you just don't do it. And especially like, you know, I said eventually I went through the whole law process and eventually became an entrepreneur. Again, I don't regret that process, but like the whole idea of like take a shot at something. If you fail, you learn from it anyway. You know, I'm a big advocate of that.
Love that advice. I agree with that. It's good advice.
Love it. James, if people want to find out more about you and everything you're doing and all your business adventures and the entrepreneur that you are, where should they go? How can they find you?
I guess LinkedIn, you know, I'm James Blackburn. You can find me pretty easy
I like
there.
that.
Yeah.
That was
you
our
know.
first LinkedIn plug, I think.
Oh, really? Yeah.
George is
I'm a big
massive
LinkedIn guy.
Yeah, I've been using it more and more, you know, and it just gives a good, you know, you figure out what somebody's all about pretty quick on it without all the superfluous, you know, extraneous party stuff. That
Two fantastic words right there. I love that. I love that.
there you
I
go.
completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, James, again, thanks for coming on, buddy. It's been a blast. And
Yeah.
if you made it this far, follow James on LinkedIn. Give him a follow if you need any work. If you need any testing done, HCP Diagnostics,
That's
correct?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll post everything in the captions. But if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, share, all those fun things. And that's all.
Go sign up. CreateYourCast.com.
Yes. Signing off, pals.
sir.
Cheers.
Later.